Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. I, Naruto, signed Kaguya Otsutsuki at the beginning. Chapter 41. Ha! Hearing the words of the ape-flying sun, Yechin laughed. Immediately, as if looking at a fool, he looked at the ape-flying sun. Naruto-sama is treating me as a fool. Or are you a stupid fork yourself? Quote. When Ape Fairy heard this, his expression changed, and the hypocritical mask on his face seemed to have been instantly ripped off, and his whole face instantly became gloomy. Moment. There was silence. In addition to Naruto's constant flapping sound inside the four-elephant seal, a little sound disappeared. At this time, everyone became nervous. One by one, they are ready for battle. Shikaku, what do we do now? The three Inoka butterfly, who had always acted as transparent people, suddenly looked at Nara Shikahisa. Haichi even directly used the secret technique to transmit the voice to Nara Shikahisa and asked. Depends on the situation, prepare for the people in the clan to prepare. Nara Shikahisa said to Yamanaka Haichi. It's just that Nara Shikaku's words have no sound, and they use lip language. Yamanaka Haichi understood Nara Shikahisa's lips, he nodded slightly, and then, using a secret technique, informed the clansmen of the three clans. Seeing this, Nara Luju was relieved in his heart, and then, looking at Yechin's back, he secretly said in his heart, it's good that you're back, but do you want to do it now? Today's situation is not a good time to start. Actually, as Ju Shinai said, since learning that Yechin may have died outside the family that originally supported Yechin, many people who stood in the family and flew to the sun, all came out. Even their three clans of pigs and deer butterflies are no exception, but they are not as serious as imagined. After all, not every family is like Uchiha Fugaku, the patriarch of Hinata's large family, as a family patriarch, and is led by the elders to resist. A small family also has the advantage of a small family, and if there is a disagreement in the family, most people listen to the patriarch. Therefore, there are indeed people in every family who stand in line with the ape-flying sun. But the patriarch of each of these families knew about them, and even deliberately indulged these people. After all, eggs can't be in one basket, can't they? The three tribes of pig deer butterfly also decided to surrender after learning that Yechin might be dead. No way. The core of all this is Yechin. If Yechin dies, who will take this head? However, unlike those families who dare not come forward. As a smart person, Nara Shikahisa directly brought Yamanaka Haichi and Akamichi Dingza to the Senju clan to report to Ju Shinai. And he did this because he didn't want to do everything. After all, it was not certain that Yechin was really dead. What if you don't die in the morning and come back? Moreover, even if Yechin died, Ju Shinai they were taken away. They will not be in danger, at most they will be taken away and step down from the position of patriarch in the future. So, Nara Shikahisa is gambling. Bet that the night morning is not dead. The bet is lost. Big deal, early retirement. If the bet is won, and Yechin succeeds in controlling Konoha, the benefits will be great. And now, night morning came back, and he won the bet. Seeing that Yechin and the ape-flying sun may have a precursor to fighting, he did not hesitate to stud directly through all three families of pigs, deer and butterflies into it. Meanwhile, ape-flying sun chopper also seemed to have made some decision, and the whole person's momentum suddenly rose, and his eyes looked directly at Yechin. Seeing this, everyone knew that this battle was about to begin. In the dark part of the ape-flying sun, someone quietly left. Of course, this is not an escape. Instead, it went to inform the large troops. It seems that Naruto-sama doesn't want to give me an explanation. Yechin sent Hinata to Ju Shina's arms, and his eyes also became sharp at Sarutobi Hinata. Then, please don't be impulsive. At this time, a figure appeared in the middle of the night morning, ape-flying and slashing between the two forces. Uchiha stopped the water. Seeing the person coming, everyone's eyes fell on him. And the person who came was none other than Uchiha to stop the water. Naruto-sama, Senior Yakin, please control your emotions so far, Konoha can't have infighting. Uchiha stopped the water and said to Yechin and Sarutobi Haha, Sarutobi didn't speak, but when Yechin heard Uchiha's words to stop the water, he laughed out loud. Everyone's eyes looked at Yechin who was laughing again. A moment later, Yechin's smile gradually disappeared, and his eyes looked at Uchiha Shishui sharply. You are Shanks, and you have the fruit of face. What qualifications do you have to say that this is the end of the road? Quote. The momentum of the night morning was all pressed towards Uchiha to stop the water. I'm really soft-spoken, but... Uchiha stopped the water and looked at Yi-Chen, and a pair of three-hook jade riding wheel eyes kept spinning, and finally turned into a pattern like a boomerang. Uchiha stopped the water and opened the kaleidoscope chakra eye. I don't know, am I qualified now? Looking at the eyes that turned on Uchiha to stop the water, it turned into a pattern, and the people who knew the kaleidoscope riding wheel eye were all taken aback. The ape flying sun chop was even more overjoyed. Because, Uchiha Shisui is strictly his person. He is one of the few people in the Uchiha clan who has been infected, brainwashed by his will to fire. Stop the water, you. Opened the kaleidoscope Sharingan. Quote. Sarutobi looked at Uchiha with surprise. Yes, Naruto-sama. Uchiha nodded. Immediately, his face was serious. I will not let Konoha have an infighting incident. Quote. After speaking, he looked at Yi-Chen. My eyes can do what I say. Quote. Trouble. Nara Shikaku looked at Uchiha's kaleidoscope chakra eyes and frowned. Shikaku, isn't this kaleidoscope chakra eye the legendary Uchiha spot? Yamanaka Haichi also took a deep breath and couldn't believe it. Good. Nara Shikaku nodded, and said in a solemn tone, Kaleidoscope riding wheel eye is the ultimate pupil technique that can compete with Mu Duan, but I didn't expect that the Thousand Hands clan reappeared Mu Duan, and the Uchiha family came out of the kaleidoscope riding wheel eye. This. Is it the cycle of fate? Quote. Can you compete with Mu Duan's pupil technique? Yamanaka Hai's face also became solemn. Ha. Yechen heard Uchiha's words to stop the water, and he burst into laughter again, as if he had heard an amazing joke. Kaleidoscope Sharingan. Ha. Good. I said who gave you the courage, it turned out to awaken the kaleidoscope riding wheel eye. Quote. Yes, your kaleidoscopic pupil technique can indeed make people listen to you unconditionally. But. The smile on Yechen's face converged, and his eyes looked directly at Uchiha's kaleidoscope chakra eyes. In an instant, Yechen's pupils turned scarlet, and immediately after, 3 gouged jades appeared in his pupils. However, before everyone was shocked, why did Yechen have the Sharingan eye of the Uchiha clan, or the 3-hook jade riding wheel eye? The 3 gouged jades in Yi-Chen's eyes rotated again, forming a complex pattern of overlapping 6-pointed stars. Kaleidoscope Sharingan. Yechen also opened the kaleidoscope chakra eye. What? Kaleidoscope riding wheel eyes? How is this possible? Quote. Originally, when Uchiha Shisui heard Yechen mention his pupil technique, he was a little shocked, and said in his heart, could it be that he knows my pupil technique Batenjin? But at this moment of opening his eyes, Yechen's pupils turned scarlet, followed by the 3-hook jade riding wheel eye, and then, it became a kaleidoscope riding wheel eye. Kaleidoscope riding wheel eyes. This is a kaleidoscopic chakra. Number 497 said that Yechen is obviously a member of the Thousand Hands clan, but why does he have the Sharingan? But even if you have a chakra eye, it is impossible to awaken the kaleidoscope chakra eye, right? As far as he knew, the people of the Uchiha clan who had kaleidoscopic chakra eyes, even if he was together, were only 3 of them. And a person of the Thousand Hands clan in the morning of the night not only has the Sharingan, but also has the kaleidoscope Sharingan. Uchiha was stunned. In fact, it's not just Uchiha who stopped the water. Everyone present looked at Yechen in disbelief. Oh no, it should be said that they were staring at Yechen's kaleidoscope riding wheel eyes. Nope, it's impossible. I checked your family relationship, your ancestors, there is no bloodline of the Uchiha family at all, you. How do you have a chakra? Impossible, absolutely impossible. Quote. Ape Flying Sun Chopper is already a little deranged. Since Yechen awakened Mu Duan, he had let the Dark Department thoroughly investigate Yechen, and it can be said that Yechen's 18 generations of ancestors have all been checked by him. The results of the investigation showed that although Yechen's ancestors were all high-ranking members of the Thousand Hands clan, they had never married outsiders at all. It is even more impossible to have combined with the Uchiha family. Therefore, it is impossible for Yechen to have a chakra eye, CACJ. Night morning, he has a Sharingan. Quote. Ju Shinai also looked at Yechen with a confused face, and ran to Yechen's side, stared into his eyes, and took a look. Well, sure it's the Sharingan. But this is impossible. As Yi-Chen's pillow person, and a childhood sweetheart, Yi Chen's situation, she knows better than anyone, how can he have a chakra eye? Everyone froze at this point. What the hell is going on here? The patriarch of the Senju clan, who has the Sharingan eye of the Uchiha clan. Is this Nima an ancestor who is unruly, or is his father making a mistake? In short, everyone was confused by the kaleidoscopic chakra eye of the night morning. How? You still feel that your face? Oh no, is your kaleidoscope qualified to talk to me? Quote. Looking at Uchiha Shuishui's confused expression, and thinking that he had just learned the ability of Shanks to activate the face fruit. The corners of Yechen's mouth rose slightly, and the heart was called uncomfortable, pretending to hit the face. This is the treatment that the protagonist should have. Do you have the blood of the Uchiha clan? Quote. Uchiha stopped the water and couldn't listen to Yi Chen's words at all. He just wanted to know why Yechen wrote the wheel eye with a kaleidoscope. And the people around him, listening to Uchiha's question, one by one, all stared at Yechen, wanting to get an answer from his mouth. Uchiha, hee. When Yechen heard this, he immediately smiled, and then, his face was full of disdain. It's you who are too ignorant. Who stipulated that only the Uchiha clan has the Sharingan, and the people of the Thousand Hands clan cannot awaken the Sharingan? Quote. When everyone heard this, they were even more confused. What did he say? People who are not from the Uchiha clan can also awaken the Sharingan. Could it be that the Sharingan can also be fused like the 5 elements blood succession limit? Think about it. Hey, it really makes sense. The writing wheel eye is also a blood succession limit, but it is just a yin attribute pupil technique. The 5 element attribute blood succession limit belongs to the yang attribute element class. Unexpectedly, the 5 element attributes and blood succession limits can be fused. Why can't the yin attribute pupil writing wheel eye be fused? At this moment, everyone seemed to make up the night morning, using the yin attribute chakra, and develop the scene of writing wheel eyes. Immediately afterwards, everyone was a little moved. Especially the ape flying sun. When he listened to Yi Chen's words, those eyes began to glow golden. After this incident, I must let Tuan Zhang study the yin attribute chakra. As long as the yin attribute chakra is developed into the Sharingan, then my strength will definitely skyrocket, and at that time, I see who dares to go against me. Ape Flying Sun's small abacus has already begun, and at the same time he is a little excited, and even he has seen the scene of his strength rising sharply and becoming the true king of Konoha. At this time, Yechen didn't know at all. Because of his words, he directly cut the ape flying sun, and Tuan Zhang took him into the ditch. At the same time, this also led to the early arrival of the night of the extinction of the Uchiha clan. Okay, without further ado, come on, let me see your volume. Yechen took a step forward, scarlet chakra eyes, looking at Uchiha Shuishui and ape flying sun chopper and others, with a dry posture. Uchiha stopped seeing that the night was so rigid, and suddenly hesitated. Originally, he wanted to make Yi Chen jealous through the kaleidoscope writing wheel eye, so he stopped. If it doesn't work, he can use the kaleidoscope chakra eye pupil technique, the tangent, to control the night morning and make him loyal to Konoha forever. But, now Yechen has a kaleidoscope writing wheel eye, plus Yechen's already powerful strength. He wasn't sure that his Batengent could really control the night morning. And once his Batengent use fails, then there really can only be one big war. This is an outcome he does not want to see. Yi Chen, stop here. Just as Uchiha hesitated, Sarutobi took a step forward and looked at Yi Chen Dao. Obviously, he also does not want to go to war with Yechen now, let alone whether he can work well overnight. Just looking at Uchiha Shuishui's hesitant look, he was really afraid that this guy would suddenly turn against the water. Uchiha Shuishui, who has kaleidoscopic chakra eyes, now seems to be on his side. But the appearance he is showing now is obviously that the will of fire has not been passed down thoroughly enough. It's a ticking time bomb. Therefore, he must quickly end today's matter, so that he can go back and brainwash Uchiha again. Oh no, it's about the will of fire. As long as the Uchiha Shuishui is completely inherited, brainwashed, and pulled into their camp, it will be much more certain to deal with Yechen. Ha, you said stop it. How? The fruit of face was transferred to you. Quote. You led someone to break into my Thousand Hands clan, beat my woman again, and now say stop, why? With your big face. Quote. When Yechen heard the words of the ape flying sun, he sneered and said disdainfully. Phew, Ape Fei exhaled, forcibly suppressed his blood pressure, and finally, looked at Yi Chen and said, "Name your conditions." Quote, "Things have come to this point, the ape flying sun chop still does not know, Yechen wants to put forward conditions. Otherwise, with Yechen's character, he would have already started." Just as Ape Flying Sun Chopper guessed, Yi Chen really did not want to start a war with Ape Flying Sun Chopper now. Again, there are too many problems on his side. Starting a war now, even if he wins, will be very unfavorable for his subsequent development. However, whether to fight or not to fight is one thing, you Ape Flying Sun to lead people to break into my 1,000 hands and bully my women, if you don't give an explanation, it's another thing, another thing. When Yechen heard this, he smiled slightly. Hee, it's good, it turned out that Lord Naruto mentioned it, then. I just spoke. Quote, "Say it." When Ape Fei heard this, his heart was relieved, and his heart was also raised. The lion waiting for the night morning opened its mouth. "My condition is." Yi Chen, halfway through Yi Chen's figure, suddenly disappeared in place. Not good. Uchiha Shuishui suddenly saw Yechen disappear, and he was immediately shocked, and quickly turned around to look at the location where the ape flying sun chop was. Immediately afterwards, he saw that the ape flying sun chop was grabbed by Yechen with one hand and pressed to the ground. Rumble. The ape flying sun's head came into close contact with the ground, and directly smashed the ground out of a big pit. Naruto-sama. You dare to attack Naruto-sama. This sudden change made everyone present stunned for a few seconds. Didn't they just talk well? Do you want to mention the conditions? How did this fight all of a sudden? The ninjas who were slashed by the ape flew up one by one. And Ju Shinai and the others were also stunned for a few seconds, and then also rushed up. I went to Nima, hit my people, didn't give me a few hits, and wanted to stop. I'll go UNN. Quote, Yechen's raid. Everyone did not expect it, even Ape Flying Sun Chopper himself did not expect it, and was directly succeeded by Yechen's raid and pressed to the ground. After the successful raid, Yechen immediately sealed the chakra of the Ape Flying Sun, and then, like a street fight, put down the Ape Flying Sun Chop, and constantly kicked with his feet. And when Uchiha Shuishui and the others surrounded him, Yechen grabbed the blue nose and swollen face of the Ape Fairy and cut off the hair and directly lifted it up. Let go of Naruto-sama. Senju Yechen, you dare to make a move on Naruto-sama, you. Looking at the ape flying sun caught in his hand, one by one Konoha ninjas did not dare to step forward. Night morning. Ju Shinai and several people came to Yi Chen's side, looking at the ape flying sun chop caught by Yi Chen, and didn't know what to say for a while. Out of breath, 2 punches without you. Quote, seeing Ju Shinai's arrival, Yechen grabbed the ape flying sun, turned his head and asked. Everyone was speechless. Has the current fire shadow of feelings been reduced to the point of being a sandbag? Ju Shinai was full of emotion, and then he knew that Yechen did this all to give her anger. To be honest, just seeing Yechen and Ape Fairy about to start negotiations, she was a little uncomfortable in her heart. After all, the ape flying sun has bullied her head, and Yechen didn't teach him a lesson, so she was ready to use this in exchange for benefits. It's strange that she can be comfortable. However, she also understood that now was indeed not the time to start a complete war with the ape flying sun, and Yechen did this to take care of the overall situation. But she didn't expect that Yechen directly attacked the ape flying sun in order to give her anger, and beat her violently. Looking at the ape flying sun chopped by the pig's head, and then looked at the pampered color, looking at his night morning, Ju Shinai was full of emotion. What's wrong? Don't you come and punch twice? Quote, Yechen carried the ape flying to the sun, as if carrying an old monkey, and looked at Ju Shinai and asked again. Forget it, you've already helped me out of anger. Ju Shinai looked at Yechen and smiled slightly. Okay. When Yechen heard this, he directly released the ape with a blue nose and a swollen face. And he faced the Konoha ninja with fire-breathing eyes around him, and the inexplicable Uchiha Shuizu, as if he hadn't seen it. His gaze fell on the body of the ape flying sunchop with a blue nose and a swollen face and a gloomy face, and said with a smile on his face, okay, Naruto-sama, next I will mention my conditions. Quote, crunch, crunch, Ape Fei clenched his fists, and his teeth were almost crushed. Now that he has unsealed the night morning, chakra is ready to use. Moreover, the injury on his face looked serious, but to him, it was just a skin injury. Merely, compared with the injury on his face, the injury in his heart was more serious. He was beaten. He was beaten like this. Shame, this is simply a shame. He stared at Yechin, and his old eyes seemed to spew fire. He wanted to go crazy. He wanted to cut the knight by 1,000 cuts. But, he looked at the inexplicable Uchiha Shisui on the side, then at the Konoha elites who followed him, and finally. Ape Flying Sun let out a long breath and suppressed the anger in his heart. Phew. The Ape Flying Sun, whose gaze had returned to calm again, looked at Yechin and spoke again, say it. Quote. Book of Seals, I want to see the ninjutsu on the Book of Seals for a day. Yechin also stopped grinding. Anyway, he had already helped Ju Shinai recover some interest, so this time he didn't make any small moves, and said directly. Impossible. Hearing that Yechin wanted to read the Book of Seals, Ape Flying Sun Chopper directly refused, and then, feeling that the words were a little heavy, his tone softened a little. You also know that the Book of Seals is a ninjutsu, all of which are forbidden arts, and once they are lost, they will have an immeasurable impact on the ninja world, so you better change the conditions. Quote. Joke. The ninjutsu on the Book of Seals are all powerful forbidden arts. Yi Chen's current strength is terrifying enough. Let Yechin learn a few forbidden techniques from the Book of Seals, then he won't turn the sky over. Yechin rolled his eyes when he heard the words of the Ape Flying Sun. Nima, the real code is hypocritical. What else said had an immeasurable impact on the ninja world, and the Book of Seals was about to be turned over by a few of you old guys. He believed that the forbidden arts on the Book of Seals were harmful to the ninja world. After all, in the 4 battles in the original work, a filthy soil reincarnation fought with the entire ninja world. But you want to say that you can't leak it? Bah, your good apprentice Great Snake Pill will also be reborn in the soil. He is still rebellious now, and you let it go. 3 generations, you're not interesting, are you? Have you forgotten where the forbidden technique on the Book of Seals came from? The Thousand Hands clan, the vast majority of forbidden arts on the Book of Seals, come from the Thousand Hands clan, and they were studied by the patriarch of my Thousand Hands clan, and the Thousand Hands clan. I'm just borrowing for a day now, and I haven't let you return my things to their original owners. What are you jumping? Yi Chen didn't put the Ape Flying Sun in his eyes at all, and directly gave him a roll of his eyes, and then ridiculed. This. Ape Fei Ri was stunned for a moment, and then said in a resolute tone, most of the forbidden arts on the Book of Seals are indeed studied by the 2nd generation, but since the 2nd generation lord, the Book of Seals has already belonged to the treasure of Konoha, it does not belong to individuals, does not belong to any family, it only belongs to Konoha. Quote. Good. 310, a high-sounding excuse that belongs only to Konoha. Yechin was really disgusted by the Ape Flying Sun, so, I didn't want to say anything more to him, for fear that he would not be able to eat in the future. He waved his big hand and stared at the Ape Flying Sun and said, the art of flying thunder god, I want the art of flying thunder god, and 1/3 of the industry of your ape flying family, otherwise, this matter tonight. Quote. The attitude of the knight at this time. Unusually firm, with the momentum of doing it if you don't agree. When Ape Flying Sun Chopper heard Yi Chen's conditions, he immediately pondered. It is acceptable to give the Night Morning Flying Thunder God technique. Although the use of the Flying Thunder God technique, as well as the maneuverability is very strong. However, the difficulty of learning the Flying Thunder God art can be said to be the most difficult one in the Book of Seals. If nothing else, if you want to learn the Flying Thunder God, you must have the talent of Affinity Space Ninjutsu, otherwise, even if you have talent in the past, you will not be able to learn it. B. Sarutobi admitted. Yechin is indeed a demon that has not been produced for thousands of years. However, Yechin wanted to learn the art of Flying Thunder God, and Ape Flying Sun slashing felt impossible. After all, Yechin is so devilish. If you still have the talent to learn spatial ninjutsu, it is too outrageous, right? Therefore, the Ape Flying Sun slash does not reject the art of Flying Thunder God in the night and morning. However, Yechin proposed that he wanted 1/3 of the industry, and he hesitated. After all, this is his family business. However, seeing Yi Chen's resolute attitude, he knew that if he refused Yi Chen's proposal, then night morning will definitely turn around. Phew. Ape Fei Ri exhaled a breath, looked at Yechin and nodded with an ugly face. yes. Quote. Good. Seeing this, Yechin slapped his palm, and then said, tomorrow I will let people roar, rumble. As soon as Yi Chen was halfway through speaking, a beastly roar reached everyone's ears, and along with this roar, there was a loud noise. Everyone looked in the direction where the voice came from. Click, click, click. When everyone's eyes fell on the place where the voice came from, immediately, I saw that the 4 barriers that originally sealed Naruto appeared one after another. And behind Naruto inside the barrier, the 4th tail slowly grew out. Tick-tock. However, what shocked everyone was not that the seal was about to be broken, but Naruto's state at this time. Although Naruto at this time, it seems to be more powerful. However, cracks of white light appeared on his dark red body. It's not good. Naruto's body can't withstand the corrosion of the 9-tailed chakra and is about to collapse. Night morning. Seeing this scene, Ju Shinai was immediately shocked, and quickly shouted to Yechin. In fact, there is no need for Ju Shinai to say. Yechin directly rushed over after seeing Naruto's appearance. Yechin directly shattered the tattered barrier, and then came to Naruto, who looked like a small monster, and in the palm of his right palm, a seat character appeared. Koan into the jaw down. Yechin's palm was on Naruto's abdomen, and then his body jumped back, directly pulling out a red and blue chakra. Boom, boom. At the moment when Night Morning pulled out this chakra, around Naruto, wooden pillars rose from the ground, enveloping Naruto in it. Roar. The tailed beast Naruto raised his head and roared, and then an even larger chakra burst out from his body continuously. Aren't you dead yet? Seeing this scene in the Night Morning, he knew that this was the hard-won opportunity for the 9 tails to get out of trouble, and was desperately resisting. 0. HMPH. Yechin snorted coldly, and the eyes that had originally changed back to black pupils turned scarlet again, and then the unique pattern of kaleidoscope riding wheel eyes appeared in his pupils. The screen turns. Yechin's figure appeared, as if in a sealed space similar to a waterway. In front of the big iron cage where the 9 tails are imprisoned. Strands of red chakra were like a tide from inside the iron cage, wrapped towards the little Naruto outside the iron cage with empty eyes. Suddenly, as if sensing something, the 9 tails turned his head to look in one direction. Night, morning. The moment it turned its head, it directly met a pair of scarlet eyes. 9 tails, you're a little restless. Yi Chen, who opened the kaleidoscopic chakra eyes, looked directly into the iron cage, the huge 9 tails, and his eyes narrowed slightly. Night, morning, your eyes. Kaleidoscope riding wheel eyes. Quote. The 9 tails was completely in a state of confusion at this time, and apparently, it was also frightened by the pair of kaleidoscopic chakra eyes. It knows that this guy has the existence of Mu Duan. And Mu Duan, as the inheritance of the characteristics of the perfect immortal human body, it is almost certain that this guy is a true Asura descendant. However, now you tell me that it is not enough to awaken a wooden dun in 3.6, and even the chakra eyes of Indra's descendants have been inherited. And it has developed the chakra eye to the point of a kaleidoscope, which is a bit excessive. 9 tails, now I don't have time to play with you, I'll have a good chat with you when I have time, then. Yi Chen's eyes collided with the gaze of the 9 tails. You can honestly take it with you now. The kaleidoscopic chakra pattern in the pupil of the Night Morning slowly rotates. Suddenly, the 9 tails only felt that his eyelids became extremely heavy, and then, without waiting for it to have another reaction, he slowly closed his eyes. After falling into a deep sleep, the 9-tailed chakra that rushed to Naruto receded like a tide. And after Naruto retreated from the 9-tailed chakra, his body also softened and he softened. Next, with the return of the Night Morning, the undercurrent that occurred in Konoha yesterday surged and calmed down again. As if nothing had happened. Inside the new mansion in the morning. The original mansion was directly destroyed by the tailed beast Naruto. And as Yi Chen, who has the wood-blood succession limit, building a house is not a matter of 2 hands. Therefore, after everything was settled, Yechin directly built a 3-story villa in his original mansion. Well, a really big villa, the kind of modern big villa with garden pool. It was also since then that the first large villa in the ninja world was born. Night Morning, Naruto will be fine, right? In a room on the 2nd floor, Jushina looked at Naruto, who was wrapped in a mummy and lying quietly on the bed, and asked with worry. Don't worry, you don't know the physique of your Whirlpool clan, although the injury is very serious, but now it is recovering, and it won't be long before this kid can jump alive again. Yechin stood by the bed, yawned, and said nonchalantly. He is now tired enough to choke, since the time Hinata was kidnapped in his 20s. He pursued Yunin all the way, and finally fought with Thunder Shadow, Yao, Neo, and the elite division of Union Village. After the fight, he rushed back non-stop. After coming back, it was the same pile of broken things as yesterday night. When Hinata was sent back to the Hyuga clan, after casually showing his face in Konoha, it was almost dawn. This little guy is really pitiful. Alas, if Jiawei and their husband and wife see their son and are made like this, I don't know what kind of expression it will be. Thinking of the Wave Feng Shuiman couple dying for Konoha. Naruto, as the son of a hero, was framed by Sarutobi and these people 3 times and 5 times, and this time he almost lost his life. As soon as Ju Shinai thought of this, she felt worthless for the Feng Shuiman couple. When I heard these words on the side, I couldn't help but feel slander in my heart. If it weren't for Buddy, I'm afraid it would be you who returned to the West with Bo Feng Shuiman. Thinking of the original work, Ju Shina is the wife of Wave Feng Shuiman, and Naruto is the son of Wave Feng Shuiman. And now, both Kushina and Naruto followed him. Yechin looked at Ju Shinai, who was sitting on the edge of the bed, and then at Naruto who was lying on the bed and fell into a coma, wrapped in a mummy, and his eyes suddenly became strange. Am I not only cutting off his original wife, but now even his son is raised together? I'll go, it's so exciting. If Makoto is collected again, then Sasuke and Itachi will call daddy. No, can't think about it anymore. Yi Chen hid a stirring spirit, and did not dare to think about it anymore. Night morning. In the morning of the night, who was thinking about it, he suddenly heard Ju Shinai calling him. Ha! Yechin came back to his senses and looked at Ju Shinai blankly. What are you thinking? I'm talking to you, why are you ignoring me? Quote. Looking at the dazed Yechin, Ju Shinai rolled his eyes and said angrily. I didn't think about anything. Yechin looked at Ju Shinai again, then at Naruto, and then, quickly shook his head, and asked Ju Shinai, what did you just say? I didn't pay attention. Quote. When Ju Shinai heard this, he glared at Yi Chen angrily, and then, his face was solemn. I want to ask you, when can those guys solve it? These disgusting guys, doing things over and over again. I don't have anything, it's that Naruto grew up in such an environment, and I always feel that I can't help Jiawei. Quote. Hearing Ju Shinai ask such a thing, Yechin also frowned and pondered. A moment later, Yechin looked at Ju Shinai and said, in the past few days, you have also seen that there are many internal problems of those families who support me, and these internal problems are not solved. Once I start to move, with my current strength, it can indeed be suppressed strongly, but Konoha is also equivalent to internal consumption. Wait a minute, it won't be long. Quote, how long will that be? Such a day is really tormenting. Ju Shinai also understood that Yechin was right, but she really didn't want to live such a life. It's too humiliating. Soon, Yechin put his arm around Ju Shinai, and then continued, the internal problems of other families are okay, that is, the internal problems of the Uchiha family, and they must be solved. Quote. Ju Shinai leaned his face against Yi Chen's chest, listened to Yi Chen's powerful heartbeat, and said in agreement, indeed, the current Uchiha is too powerful. Once those people within them stand in line and fly to the sun, there will be problems at critical moments, which may affect the battle situation. Quote. Good. Yechin nodded in agreement, and then, the corners of his mouth rose slightly. Soon, those people will disappear soon, and besides, we don't need to do anything at all. Quote. When Ju Shinai heard this, he raised his head a little blankly, not understanding what Yi Chen's words meant. Meanwhile, Hokage building, inside a secret room deep underground. Sarutobi Hinata, Shimura Danzo, Koharu Sleeper, Mito Monita, and Uchiha stopped the water and gathered here. Stop the water. I have read the records of your Uchiha clan on the kaleidoscope writing wheel eye. I know from those records that every pair of kaleidoscope writing wheel eyes will awaken the pupil technique. I don't know what kind of pupil technique your kaleidoscope writing wheel eye awakens. Sarutobi Hinata sits in the first place, and on either side are Shimura Danzo, Koharu, and Mito Manyan. As soon as these 4 gathered, the momentum could only sigh that it was worthy of Konoha F4. Hearing Sarutobi Hinata's question, the three of Shimura Danzo, one by one, stared at Uchiha deadly. Even the ape flying with a smile on his face was shining strangely in his eyes. He didn't forget that he mentioned Uchiha water-stopping pupil technique last night. Although he still doesn't know what Uchiha's pupil technique is like, it can make Yechin wary, which is enough to show that this pupil technique is not simple. Uchiha stopped seeing all four people staring at him. He hesitated for a moment, and then, his eyes looked at the four people. Back to Lord Hokage, I awakened the kaleidoscope chakra eye, and the pupil technique I obtained is called Batenjin. Quote. Don't be a god, Konoha F4 said. Chi-Chi glanced at each other, and then, Sarutobi Richo spoke again. Let's talk about the specific ability. Quote. Yes, Uchiha stopped the water when he heard this, no longer hid it, and told several people about the ability of Batenjin one by one. When Ape Flying Sun slashed, several people heard that Badian god could modify the memories of others and completely carry out the orders of the caster. Several people all gasped. This technique, it's horrible. Although this technique takes a long time to cool down after using it once, it is also very terrifying. After the shock, several people looked at each other, and Sarutobi talked to Uchiha about the will of fire and the importance of Konoha, which was almost the same as his concept of peace. Sarutobi slashed this to let Uchiha stop the water and leave. After Uchiha stopped the water and left, Shimura Danzo immediately jumped out, looking at Ape Fairy with a solemn face. Ape Fei, Uchiha can't stay anymore. Quote. Time flies. More than a month has passed since Hinata's abduction. In the past month or so, Konoha has completely returned to calm. And on the second day after the Ape Flying Sun led the people to besiege the Senju clan. According to the conditions mentioned by Yi Chen, Ape Flying Sun Chopper sent someone to bring Yi Chen's Flying Thunder God technique, as well as 1/3 of the Ape Fei family's industry. And after Yi Chen got his wish and obtained the Flying Thunder God technique, he naturally began to study immediately. With his current strength, the Flying Thunder God technique, although it can't bring him much improvement. However, its mobility is very much needed in the night. If he could fly the Thunder God technique, then he could come back directly from the border of the Fire Country. It's just that I don't know if he really doesn't have space talent, or if the time to study is too short. After this month, let alone the introduction of the Flying Thunder God technique, he didn't even touch the threshold. Night morning. On this day, Yechin was still in the garden of his large villa, studying the art of Flying Thunder God, when Uchiha Makoto walked in. Oh, Makoto is here. Quote. Yechin put down the Flying Thunder God scroll and looked at Makoto. Seeing a hint of worry in Uchiha Makoto's expression, he couldn't help but ask curiously, did something happen? Quote. Nothing, just to see how well you are studied. Quote. Uchiha Makoto heard Yechin's question, and her expression was a little nervous. Seeing this, Yi Chen became even more curious. So, Yechin directly pulled Uchiha Makoto into his arms, lifted her chin, and said with a bad smile on her face, say, what happened? Usually you don't show such a look, but don't lie to me, otherwise. Hey. Quote. Held in Yechin's arms, Uchiha Makoto's pretty face was slightly red, but she didn't push Yechin away. She is similar to Yechin and Ju Shinai, and she is a childhood sweetheart. And, like Ju Shinai, his heart has long been filled with night mourning. Otherwise, when Uchiha Fugaku went to ask for a kiss, she would not have fought to the death. It's just that Yechin's strength was low at that time, and she had established a relationship with Ju Shinai. Coupled with the contradiction between the Senju clan and the Uchiha clan, she never dared to go beyond it. And now, Yechin's strength has been. Ju Shinai also agreed. She is also not hiding the love for Yechin in her heart. Yechin, who was holding Uchiha Makoto, looked at her slightly open red lips, and couldn't help it anymore, and leaned in with a big mouth. Uchiha Makoto's eyes widened suddenly, and then slowly closed again. A moment later, Uchiha Makoto was paralyzed in Yechin's arms, her head resting on Yechin's chest, her eyes narrowed slightly, like a lazy kitten. Can we say it now? Yorichin hugged Uchiha Makoto and asked again. Uchiha Makoto replied gently, and then spoke. Actually, it's nothing, it's just that my grandfather wants to invite you to the house. Quote. When Yi Chen heard this, he was immediately stunned, and then said with a dumb smile, just this matter? Quote. Yes, Uchiha Makoto nodded, and then, with a white glance at Yechin, immediately after, her hands hugged him tightly, HMPH. Laugh what to laugh, it's not all you. Now the whole of Konoha knows that our relationship is ambiguous, but you didn't say anything, my grandfather is anxious for me. Quote. When Yechin heard this, he froze for a while, and then, he also hugged Uchiha tightly in front of him, and said with guilt, I'm sorry Makoto, it's my fault, it's my negligence. Quote. It doesn't matter. Uchiha Makoto's head rested on Yechin's chest again, and a happy smile appeared on her face. Anyway, I have been waiting for so many years, and now I am very satisfied with such a result. Quote. When Yechin heard this, his ashamed color increased a little. The two of them got tired of the garden for a while, and then Uchiha Makoto went back. The night and morning do not pass until dusk. After Makoto Uchiha left, the garden was quiet again. Come out. What does it mean after watching it for so long? Want to learn. Quote. Yechin stood in the garden and said calmly. As soon as Yi-chen's words fell, Uchiha stopped the water and walked out from behind a large tree. Yechin raised his eyes to look at the worried-looking Uchiha Shuishui, and smiled slightly. How? Ape Flying Sun / asked you to use other gods to control me. Quote. Uchiha shook his head and looked at Yechin and said, I am coming myself, and the 3 generations of adults don't know. Quote. Oh, when Yechin heard this, he immediately became curious. Wasn't this kid brainwashed by the Ape Flying Sun? Now that he dares to come to see him alone, could it be that this kid is impressed by the domineering of his buddies? You actually came to see me alone, and there was no order from the Ape Flying Sun, are you not afraid that they will suspect that you have defected? Uchiha shook his head, as if the Buddha had endless sorrow, and after a few seconds of slight silence, he looked up at Yechin and asked, maybe you're right. Quote. What? Yechin was a little confused by Uchiha's headless and endless words. Phew. Uchiha exhaled and said with a serious face, now I feel that the unified theory of the first emperor you told me may be right. Quote. Oh, when Yi-chen heard this, his eyes narrowed slightly, and after carefully looking at the sorrow between Uchiha's eyebrows, he asked in a serious tone, did the ape fly to slash them and give you any task? Quote. Uchiha nodded, and then, the expression on his face was extremely complicated, and then slowly spit out a few words, Uchiha exterminates the clan. Quote. Uchiha exterminates. Is it really coming? Hearing Uchiha's words to stop the water, Yi-chen had expected it in his heart, but his face was full of shock. It stands to reason that the Uchiha clan would not have been so early. And now the Uchiha extermination event is ahead of schedule. Also, the executor is no longer Uchiha Itachi. Rather, Uchiha stopped the water. The reason why the Uchiha extermination event will be advanced is naturally because of the night morning. Even, Uchiha Shuishui was able to awaken the kaleidoscope chakra eye in advance, I am afraid that he also has a share of credit. After all, the current Uchiha Itachi is not yet 10 years old, and it is still far from the Uchiha extermination incident in the original work. And Ape Flying Sun is now going to destroy the Uchiha clan, which is also the pit he planted. A month ago, Ape Flying Sun led people to surround his Senju clan, and finally Uchiha stopped the water and opened the kaleidoscope riding wheel eye, wanting to make Yechin stop. And Yechin also saw the timing of the run, and slightly revealed the power of the Ujibo water kaleidoscope riding wheel eye. That Konoha F4 learned that Uchiha stopped the water to open the kaleidoscope, and learned from his mouth that the kaleidoscope pupil technique of Uchiha stop water is very powerful. With their nature, how could they not ask the bottom of Uchiha to stop the water? And Uchiha Shuishui was already brainwashed by the Ape Flying Sun 247. In addition, in the original work, Uchiha stopped the water and was indeed stupid, revealing his pupil technique to the Ape Flying Sun to cut their plot. Yechin didn't believe it, and Uchiha stopped the water and didn't tell the Ape Flying Sun the information about killing the gods. Moreover, even if they didn't tell the Ape Flying Sun the information that they had slashed other gods, it didn't matter, so it not only proved that Uchiha didn't really have a heart with them. At the same time, it can also make the Ape Flying Sun chop have a gap between Uchiha and stop the water. And told the Ape Flying Sun to kill them other heavenly gods. Yechin didn't believe that the Ape Flying Sun chopping them could still endure, and it was considered to give Uchiha an eye-gouging performance on the spot, which was considered to give face. And knowing that the kaleidoscope riding wheel the ape with such a powerful power slashed a few people, where will he sit still? Coupled with the danger of his night morning, these old boys naturally crave the power of the kaleidoscope chakra eye. So, another pit in the night morning played a role. And this pit is, as Yechin said, his kaleidoscopic chakra eye was evolved by himself using the yin attribute chakra. Although Ape Flying Sun Chopper and others did not believe Yechin's statement. But that also needs to be researched, right? What if it's really like Yechin said? And if you want to study the Sharingan, you must have materials, right? Coupled with the terrifying pupil technique of the kaleidoscope chakra eye, Konoha F4 took on the Uchiha family with a killing intent. As for why the Uchiha clan has obviously supported Yechin, but Yechin still wants to start the extermination plan. Naturally, Yechin wanted to borrow the hand of the Ape Flying Sun to get rid of those disobedient guys. These guys think that they have sided with the Ape Flying Sun Chop against Uchiha Fugaku, and the Ape Flying Sun Chop will let them go. So naive. With the character of the Uchiha clan, as well as the powerful pupil technique of riding wheel eyes, even if Sarutobi Hinata can't make a move, Yechin believes that Shimura Danzo can't help it. Destroy Uchiha. Hehe, normal operation. They were able to destroy the Thousand Hands clan, and it is very reasonable to destroy another Uchiha. Yechin put away his shocked expression, and then, he looked at Uchiha with a smile. You told me these secrets, are you planning to defect to the Ape Flying Sun? Have you come to me? Quote. Yechin was very interested in Uchiha Shuishui at this time. He never thought that Uchiha would come to him. Originally, Yechin thought that Uchiha Water Stop was just a tool man like a weasel in the end, but I didn't expect that this guy would come to find himself, this Uchiha Stop Water is not right. Ape Flying Sun's brainwashing technique is so awesome that he didn't fool him. This is another turning point in history. Surrender. Uchiha Shisui frowned slightly when he heard Yechin's words, and CAFC immediately said with relief, maybe. You're going to take me for you. Quote. Yechin heard Uchiha Shisui admit that he really came to join him. The expression on his face suddenly froze. Are you serious? Seeing Uchiha's expression of stopping the water in the morning of the night, it didn't look like he was joking, and all of a sudden, his expression became serious. Uchiha nodded solemnly. Tell me your reason, I don't want to take a second or five boy around. Yechin frowned, staring sharply at Uchiha Shuishui. Reason. Uchiha stopped hearing this, pondered for a moment, and then looked at Yechin with frank eyes. I used to think that only with Konoha can there be a home, and Konoha is a combination of small families. As long as Konoha is still there, the will of fire will endlessly. However, now 3 generations have sensed the power of my eyes. Quote. Uchiha stopped the water and opened the kaleidoscope chakra eye. They began to desire this power and were afraid of this force. At the same time, they wanted to gain this power, so they asked me to carry out the extermination plan. Quote. Phew. Uchiha stopped the water and said this. The suppressed mood these days seemed to be relieved. He let out a long breath, and spoke again. They have been blinded by desire, and they have forgotten the tolerance that a big parent should have. Uchiha looked at Yechin seriously. Maybe you're right, this world has become deformed, it needs to be reshuffled and reordered, so it is imperative to want peace in the ninja world and the road to unification. Quote. Yechin heard Uchiha's words to stop the water, and his face showed the expression of the old man looking at his mobile phone. Feelings, the change in Uchiha stopping the water, are because of him. However, if you think about it, it also makes sense. In the original work, Uchiha stopped the water after 3 wars before joining the dark part and being brainwashed by the Ape Flying Sun. At this time, Uchiha stopped the water, subjective thinking had been formed, although he already hated war, he still did not want turmoil in Konoha. However, it is not ordinary to have a person who has experienced the baptism of war and is completely brainwashed, especially a genius like Uchiha Shuishui. In the original work, Uchiha has no choice but to believe in the Ape Flying Sun. And now, the unified theory told by Yi Chen, although he did not agree with it at first, can be the moment when the Ape Flying Sun slashes them to really attack their own people. The will of fire, which he had always believed in, collapsed. Finally, he pondered the unified theory of the night morning, and then, after his observations, he approved the theory of the night morning. The road to unification is imperative. After Uchiha finished speaking, his eyes looked at Yechin, waiting for his reply. Very well, I accept your reason. Yechin pondered for a moment, a smile appeared on his face, and looked at Uchiha to stop the water. It just so happens that he is now lacking people to use it. Uchiha is a genius who has opened the kaleidoscope chakra eye, and with his addition, some of his plans have to be revised. When Uchiha heard Yechin's words, a smile suddenly appeared on his face, and it was obvious that Yechin accepted his surrender, which made him very happy. So, what should I do with Uchiha's extermination plan? Quote. Uchiha stopped his smile and looked at Yechin again with incomparable solemnity. When are they going to start doing it? Also, they all know that if something happens to Uchiha, I will definitely make a move, and what plans do they have to stop me? Yechin pondered for a moment, then asked. It's half a month later, as for how they stopped you, I do not know. Quote. Uchiha stopped the water when he said this, frowned and thought about it, and then spoke again. However, I secretly observed that the 3 generations have been very mysterious in recent years, and it seems that they are practicing some ninjutsu. Quote. Oh, when Yechin heard this, his brows frowned. Do you practice any ninjutsu? It seems that he is very confident in that technique. With that technique, Jingran has the confidence to dare to compete with me. Quote. That's right. Uchiha suddenly thought of something at this time, and spoke again. Recently, an organization called Shao secretly contacted me. Quote. Yi Chen was immediately stunned when he heard this, and then his eyes narrowed slightly. He didn't expect that after the Uchiha extermination incident was advanced because of him, and the executor was replaced by Uchiha to stop the water, the Shao organization was still involved. Moreover, it seems that they know Konoha's intelligence well. Is it white? Also, with Baiju's hidden ability, it is simply not too easy to infiltrate Konoha and monitor Konoha's every move. Who contacted you? If it hadn't been for Uchiha Shisui mentioning the Shao organization, he would have almost forgotten about him. After all, according to the plot of the original book, at this point in time, the Shao organization did not move. Thinking of the Shao organization, Yi Chen suddenly had a plan in his heart. A very strange person. Uchiha frowned when he heard Yechin's question, and then said, that guy is very strange, some don't look like humans, the shape is a bit like a plant, and the name is Absolute. Quote. Isn't it Uchiha with soil? When Yechin heard this, he suddenly pondered again. It turned out that it was not Uchiha who brought the soil to contact the executor of this extermination event. But also, in the original Nine Tails Rebellion, the movements made by Uchiha with the soil are much more than in the original work. Now the entire ninja of Konoha probably know a guy with a mask and a chakra eye, right? What did he tell you? Yechin asked. I didn't say anything, but told me that if I couldn't take it with me in Konoha, I could go to their Shao organization, and they also said that if I would join them, they would send someone to meet me. Uchiha replied. Is that all? Good. When Yechin heard this, he frowned again. It seems that the plot of the original book has been completely changed by him. Now what am I going to do? Uchiha saw that Yechin was silent, and quickly asked. When the time comes, you continue to carry out the extermination, and then. Yechin pondered for a moment, and told him one by one the plans he had thought of temporarily. Half an hour later, Yechin stood quietly in the courtyard, looked up at the somewhat gloomy sky, slowly stretched out his hand, felt the feeling of the breeze blowing across his skin, and muttered in his mouth, Want. The wind is blowing. Quote. Evening. Yechin came to the Uchiha clan alone, and under the leadership of Uchiha Makoto, visited Makoto's grandfather, the grand elder of the Uchiha clan. Uchiha View. Subsequently, Uchiha Fugaku, in the name of the Uchiha patriarch, also came to Uchiha Makoto's home. During this period, Yechin talked secretly with Uchiha Kei and Uchiha Fugaku for an hour, and immediately after, a news came out from the Uchiha family. And this news is that the granddaughter of the great elder of the Uchiha clan will marry the current patriarch of the Senju clan, Senju Yechin. For this news, everyone in Konoha did not dare to be surprised. After all, Yechin's relationship with Uchiha Makoto and Ju Shinai can be seen by discerning people. Now that the news came out that Uchiha Makoto was going to marry Yechin, everyone was not surprised. As for saying that 2 maids and 1 husband are not appropriate, this is impossible. Although many people in Konoha are monogamous, that is because Konoha is a ninja village. As a ninja, you do high-risk tasks, sometimes a task is very long, how can you have time to enjoy life? And this also led to the fact that ninjas did not care much about women. If you need it, go directly to the custom shop. Over time, Konoha developed a monogamous form. In fact, Konoha does not explicitly stipulate monogamy. No more. Out of the shinobi village, which rich and powerful person is not a group of wives and concubines? If shinobi village directly introduced monogamy, wouldn't it be the face of the daimyo and those powerful people? And coupled with the withering of the Thousand Hands clan, as the only bloodline of the Thousand Hands clan, he also inherited the night mourning of Mu-Duan, and the villagers of Konoha wished that the night mourning would marry a few more, so that he could inherit it. I have to say that Mu-Duan's influence on Muyi is still very large. After returning from the Uchiha clan, Yechin called Ju Shinai, and then told her about Uchiha stopping the water, and then told her all his plans and actions. When Ju Shina heard that Uchiha actually turned to them, she was very shocked. But she had heard Yechin say it more than once. Uchiha has been brainwashed by Sarutobi Hinata. And she has also seen the brainwashing ability of Ape Flying Sun. Speaking up, if it weren't for the night mourning, I am afraid that she would have been brainwashed. But I didn't expect that the brainwashing ability of the Ape Flying Sun Chop was unsuccessful against Uchiha to stop the water. For a while, Ju Shinai's gaze was strange when he looked at Yechin. Why do you look at me like that? Yechin saw Ju Shinai's strange eyes looking at him, and asked a little blankly. Ju Shinai shook his head, and then, a playful smile appeared on his face. Yechin, I think that you must be better than the Ape Flying Sun / in the future. Quote. Cut. Isn't that nonsense? I let him have a pair of hands, and he was no match for me. When Yi Chen heard this, he raised his chin, and then said, a mortal law, really thousands of hands to understand. Quote. Poof. When Ju Shinai heard this, he immediately burst into laughter. Immediately afterwards, Ju Shinai hammered Yi Chen, and then said, I'm not talking about strength, but the ability to fool people, much more powerful than Ape Flying Sun slashing. Even a genius with kaleidoscopic chakra eyes, have fallen for your trick of fooling. You said that when you take the throne, the people in the entire village will not be fooled by you. Quote. Hearing this, the night mourning was full of black lines. Go, how can you arrange your husband like this? The two of them fought for a while, and Yechin suddenly looked at Ju Shinai and said seriously, the action is going to be advanced, just by virtue of your relationship with me, as well as the identity of Renjuli, you will definitely be given special care at that time, so the power of the Nine Tails, you must control. Quote. A special space surrounded by white. The Nine Tails lay on the ground, sleeping with their eyes closed. Its body and limbs were bound by golden chains. At the other end of these chains are 8 huge red pillars surrounding the Nine Tails. Snap. Ju Shinai suddenly appeared in this white space. What do you want to do? Didn't you say it? If you want to borrow Uncle Ben's chakra, just take it yourself, don't bother Uncle Ben. Quote. The Nine Tails, who was lying on the ground, sensed Ju Shinai's arrival, opened his eyes slightly, and then said very impatiently. This time I came to get a little more. Ju Shinai Nine Tails' impatient appearance showed a smile on his face. Although the Nine Tails is very cold. Oh no, it should be said that it is pride. But in the past few years, if she has nothing to do, 910 will come in and talk to it. At the beginning, this guy was still very fierce, with the look of the second oldest man in the world. However, when Ju Shinai manipulated the golden chain and played with it a few times with the pirate ship, it became honest. There is no way not to be honest, being hung up and thrown around like a ball, chakra spit out a few tons. And with Ju Shinai's sealing technique, it can't run if it wants to. So, the Nine Tails are completely rotten. HMPH. There is really a lot of nonsense. Uncle Ben is the strongest tailed beast. How much Uncle Ben wants to have, I'm afraid you can't support it. Well, don't bother Uncle Ben. Quote. Hearing Ju Shinai's words, the Nine Tails pouted, his face full of disdain. Who is it? It's the Nine Tails. How much more have you gained? My chakrado is, I'm afraid your body won't be able to support it. After the Nine Tails finished speaking, he lay on his direct paw and closed his eyes. That's what you said. Seeing this, Ju Shinai was not annoyed, but instead showed a triumphant smile. Ju Shinai slowly walked towards the Nine Tails. The Nine Tails, who had closed his eyes, did not think much about it and continued to sleep its laziness. When Ju Shinai approached the huge claws of the Nine Tails, I saw another Ju Shinai appear from her back. It's just that this Ju Shinai is obviously in the state of the soul, and the half-amputated body is in a translucent state. The Nine Tails, who was lying on his paws, suddenly felt that something was wrong, and then opened his eyes. Immediately afterwards, it saw a translucent Ju Shinai, grabbed its claws, and from its claws, dragged out a blue chakra. It is its chakra origin. See this scene. The Nine Tails were shocked. He stood up sharply. What are you going to do? At this time, Ju Shinai had already pulled its chakra origin backwards, and the Nine Tails were completely panicked. Didn't you say that chakra was whatever I wanted? I'm just going to get some now. Quote. Ju Shinai showed a smug smile. Roar, little ghosts, they actually sneaked up on my 1,000-year-old old man's house, and don't talk about martial virtue. The Nine Tails roared and struggled. Whoops, boom. With the struggle of the Nine Tails, the golden iron chains bound to it were actually broken by it. Looking at the golden chain that was broken by it, the Nine Tails was stunned for a moment. It has struggled before and even wanted to break these chains. However, these golden chains were very strong, and no matter how hard they tried, they had no effect. Moreover, these chains can also extract its chakra and use it to strengthen itself. That is, no matter how much strength it has, no matter how large the chakra is, it is useless. But, now it actually broke several at once. Is it getting stronger? The gaze of the Nine Tails looked at Ju Shinai, who was pulling its origin and constantly retreating. He looked at the chains and pillars that sealed it around, and then suddenly realized, and then said with great joy, so it is. Roar, little girl, now your chakra is all pulling at my origin, I see how you can still trap me. After the Nine Tails laughed, he roared again, and then his claws pulled the golden chains on his body and pulled them violently. Bang dang, one by one, the chains were torn off by it. And as it ripped off the chains on its body, its chakra was quickly unsealed. Boom, boom, the Nine Tails kept waving, directly sweeping off those red pillars around them. Rumble, roar, there was another loud bang, and immediately after, a roar resounded throughout the ceiling space. 0. I can come out again, Although the chakra origin of the Nine Tails is still pulled away from the body by Ju Shinai. But now it is completely out of trouble, and it laughs with joy. Little girl, I want Uncle Ben's chakra origin, you are still too tender, go and die. The Nine Tails slapped a paw at Ju Shinai. King Kong blockade. Boom, boom, boom. Golden chains rushed towards the Nine Tails from all directions. Get out of my way all. Roar. Seeing these nasty chains coming from all directions, the Nine Tails roared, and then a huge wind directly blew these chains back again. Multiple shadow doppelganger technique. Bang bang. At the same time, Ju Shinai's voice sounded in the sealed space. Immediately afterwards, thousands of Ju Shinai appeared in this space. A swarm of ants. The Nine Tails looked at the densely packed Ju Shinai around him. A fox's face was full of disdain, and then he raised his giant claws and 9 huge tails dancing. Bang bang bang. One by one, Ju Shinai's doppelgangers were directly exploded. Deus spiral burst. Onion. The Ju Shinai doppelganger, who surrounded the nine-tailed group, began to rub blue balls one by one, and these balls started from scratch and instantly turned into basketball-sized Cha 0.1 carat balls. Boom. One by one, Ju Shinai doppelgangers, like death, rushed to the Nine Tails from all directions. And the Nine Tails were beaten by these Ju Shinai who smashed the fox with balls. Roar, little ghost, give me less pride. The Nine Tails roared, and then, the tail, claws together, swept a large piece. In an instant, the white mist that Ju Shinai's doppelganger exploded filled the entire space. On. Suddenly, an unusually piercing sharp sound resounded throughout the space. The Nine Tails looked in the direction where the voice came from. Immediately after, Ju Shinai's body, red hair flying, the soul on her back, was still pulling its origin, and her right hand was raised, a white characteristic ball like a shuriken. K's escape, spiral shuriken. K's escape, spiral shuriken. Ju Shinai directly threw the wind spiral shuriken towards the nine tails. Onion. Shout. The spiral shuriken carried a whistling sound, and instantly came to the nine tails, and then smashed directly on the body of the nine tails. Bang. The wind escape spiral shuriken exploded directly, forming a Dao chakra ball with wind attribute cutting characteristics, shrouding most of the nine tails. Phew. After throwing out a wind spiral shuriken, even Ju Shinai of the Pure Blood Vortex clan felt a little strenuous. Good. A bang. Looking at the nine tails, who was shrouded in a violent wind, Ju Shinai suddenly took a big step back after letting out a long breath. And the chakra origin of the nine tails was also pulled out a lot, as if half a blue nine tails was pulled out of its body. Roar. Another roar. Perhaps feeling that his origin chakra was about to be dragged out, the 29 tails climbed up against the violent wind chakra, and then the huge head was raised. Onion. Streams of chakra began to gather. Moment. A tailed beast jade that was larger than the nine tails condensed and completed. However, after the condensation of this huge tailed beast jade was completed, the nine tails did not immediately launch out. Instead, he began to continuously compress this tailed beast jade. When this tailed beast jade was compressed to less than one person's size, he opened his big mouth and directly swallowed this highly concentrated tailed beast jade. After the nine tails swallowed this tailed beast jade, he landed on all fours, a pair of fierce eyes, stared at Ju Shinai, and suddenly opened his mouth. Rumble. A dazzling light that illuminates the entire sealed space. A red-white pillar of light flew towards Ju Shinai. Dead night morning, if you don't make a move again, are you waiting to collect my body? Facing this virtual dog cannon of the nine tails head-on, Ju Shinai also trembled a little in her heart, especially looking at this terrifying chakra. The moment she shot at her, cold sweat flowed. Mu done. The art of ranking. Boom, boom. One side is formed by wood and has the size of nine tails. The green-faced Fang's demon shield appeared in front of Ju Shinai. Rumble. At the moment when this huge shield appeared, the nine-tailed virtual dog cannon blasted over at the same time. Suddenly, a violent explosion resounded throughout the ceiling space. The terrifying chakra leak made this sealed space begin to shake continuously. It's cool to see your wife being beaten, isn't it? After the huge demon shield, Ju Shinai glared angrily at Yi Chen who appeared beside him, and roared directly. Cough. This is not to see your strength. Ye Chen faced Ju Shinai, who was like a red octopus, and replied weakly. HMPH. Go back and clean you up again. Quote. Ju Shinai snorted coldly, and then clasped his hands together. Come here for me, you. Swish. The translucent phantom behind Ju Shinai, with a force, directly pulled the half-blue nine tails out of the nine tails body through the evil shield in front of him. Rumble. The huge demon shield dissipated, revealing the figure of the nine tails. Ye Chen, don't talk about martial virtue. Roar. You're going to get your way. Watching 2/3 of the chakra being pulled out, the nine tails was furious. Boom bang. With the violent departure of the nine tails, the originally pure blue chakra origin, like polluted river water, quickly turned blood red. Moreover, these red chakras quickly spread towards Ju Shinai. 9 llamas, I advise you to be kind. Ye Chen suddenly came to the nine tails, opened a pair of scarlet eyes, and glared at the nine tails. When the nine tails heard this, the name that had not been called for a long time was shocked. And when it comes back to its senses, it is aligned with the kaleidoscopic chakra eye of the night morning. Kaleidoscope Sharingan. How is this possible? You actually inherited the immortal body and the immortal eye. Quote. The nine tails was full of shock. It really didn't expect that Ye Chen still had kaleidoscope riding wheel eyes. The kaleidoscope Sharingan Naruto has seen the Yang nine tails in his body, but this Yin nine tails in Ju Shinai's body has not been seen. Closing parenthesis. Surprised. 9 llamas. Quote. Ye Chen looked at the nine tails, who was full of shock, and smiled slightly. You. Who are you? The nine tails came back to their senses, and they couldn't care about Ju Shinai, a pair of huge eyes, staring at Yi Chen. It doesn't matter who I am, what matters is that you have to listen to me, Ye Chen said lightly. Listen to you. Haha, by what? Don't think that you can make me succumb if you have the immortal body and the immortal eye. 9 llamas, the strongest tailed beast. Swear not to be a slave. Quote. When the nine tails heard Yi Chen's words, he immediately sneered, and looked at Yi Chen with mockery. if you have the ability, you will kill Uncle Ben, HMPH. Decades later, Uncle Ben is still a good fox. Quote. Night Morning heard 117 Ninetales say these scratches, words, full of eccentricity. He turned his head to look at Ju Shinai and pointed to the Ninetales. What do you usually talk about with this guy? Quote. Ju Shinai's face turned red, and she said a little twisted, also. It's nothing, it's about telling it a story. Quote. What story? Well, that's what you told me about the water margin, the romance of the three kingdoms, and, Ju Shinai said with a finger when he heard this. Yi Chen covered his face when he heard this, and looked at Ju Shinai speechlessly. Why don't you tell it about the dream of the Red Mansion, the boss of these? You tell it that. Didn't you want it to rebel? Quote. Ju Shinai heard this. I spoke, but it didn't listen, and every time I spoke, it covered its ears. Quote. Then you can simply not talk about anything, just chat. Night Morning was completely speechless. How can there be so many days to talk about? Moreover, I am a woman, it is male, and there is no common topic, okay. Is it possible to talk to it about makeup? Ju Shinai said dissatisfied. Makeup. When Yechen heard this, he looked at the huge body of the Ninetales and its fox face, and the picture suddenly came. Nima, the nine-tailed with lipstick and blush, simply not too spicy eyes. Chapter 51. Looking at the Night Morning when he was speechless and suddenly fought the Cold War, the Ninetales was proud. Just because a little girl still wants to corrupt Uncle Ben's heart. Dream. Yechen rubbed his eyebrows, looked at the Ninetales, and a smile revived on his face again. The Ninetales looked at Yi Chen's treacherous smile, and couldn't help but fight a cold war. What do you want? Uncle Ben told you although Uncle Ben is a combination of chakra, Uncle Ben is male. Quote. The Ninetales hadn't forgotten that this guy had a few women. The smile on Yi Chen's face froze, feeling that this Ninetales had changed too much. What if I really want to kill it? Phew. Yi Chen let out a long breath and looked at the Ninetales expressionlessly. 9 llamas, you don't want the 10 tails to devour and become part of the 10 tails again, right? Quote. When the Ninetales heard the words 10 tails, his body suddenly shook. What do you mean? The Ninetales widened his eyes and looked at Yechen in disbelief. 10 tails. 10 tails. What a name from a long time ago. What do you mean? Hee. Quote. When Yechen saw the appearance of the Ninetales, he immediately smiled. Good opportunity. Ju Shinai, who was behind Yechen, saw that the Ninetales were completely fooled by the Night Morning, and even the corroded red chakra retreated because of the Ninetales' mood. She saw the opportunity and directly launched her full force, pulling out all of the Ninetales' origin chakra. You guys are sneaking up. The moment chakra origin was pulled out, a translucent Ninetail turned into a wisp of pale red aura and entered Ju Shinai's body. Suddenly, the Ninetales felt that it had an inexplicable connection with Ju Shinai. The Ninetales are furious. Just get ready to fight with these two guys. Whoops. However, how could Ju Shinai give it a chance? The King Kong blockade was cast again, and several red pillars rose up around the Ninetales, and then iron chains flew out and hoisted the Ninetales again. The most egregious thing is that an iron chain wraps around the neck of the Ninetales, just like a dog chain. Quack quack. Ju Shinai had a black face, long red hair flying, broke his wrists, made a bone-crisp sound, and walked step by step to the Ninetales who was hanged. What are you going to do? Quote. The Ninetales, who was hoisted, swallowed his saliva when he saw Ju Shinai who looked like this, and thought of the experience of riding a pirate ship. What for? Ju Shinai looked at the Ninetales with a smile on her face. But this smile was like a devil's smile in the eyes of the Ninetales. Seeing this scene, Yechen also took a few steps back, and then, with a pitying gaze, looked at the Ninetales. This time the Ninetales is really miserable. Who is not good to mess with, but to provoke this ancestor. I don't know this ancestor, he doesn't dare to mess with it. Syllable. A crisp whipping sound resounded throughout the ceiling space. Roar. The Ninetales screamed, and the surrounding space trembled. Syllable. I told you to dare to yell at me. Syllable. Very arrogant. What tailed beast jade is used to bombard me? You are arrogant to take a look now. Quote. Syllable. Miss Bai Ben has told you the story for so long, and she dares to rebel, right? Syllable. Several iron chains were like whips, whipping on the nine tails. Every time he whipped, Ju Shinai also scolded a few times. Yechin looked at Ju Shinai, who was in a rage, and then looked at the nine tails, who was hung up and beaten, and mourned for the nine tails for 3 seconds in his heart, and then held his hands to his chest and looked at it with relish. Hey, not to mention, the voice of the nine tails is quite soul-crushing. Half an hour later, the nine tails were put down. It's just that at this time, the nine tails are a little weak, like Alzheimer's, lying motionless on the ground. Wouldn't be stupid, would you? Yechin walked over and kicked the claws of the nine tails. The nine tails didn't move, and his eyes were a little dull. Ju Shinai, it's a little too much. No matter what, the nine tails is also the strongest tailed beast. Hearing Yi Chen's words, the nine tails finally had some reaction. However, the next moment, Ju Shinai flew over with a look. Ahem, I mean, the nine-tailed villain is the strongest tailed beast. Even if you want to fight, you can't fight for half an hour, you can play for 10 minutes. Yechin hurriedly spoke. The nine-tails rolled his eyes and closed them. Tired, destroy. Perhaps feeling a little embarrassed, Yi Chen's gaze looked at the nine tails again. Okay, let's continue the topic we just had. Quote. When the nine tails heard this, his eyes looked at Yi Chen. Ju Shinai also looked at Yechin curiously, and she was very curious about what the 10 tails that Yechin had just said. As far as she knew, there were only 9-headed tailed beasts in the entire ninja world. But what are these 10 tails? Where to start? Yechin frowned and pondered for a moment, then said, so be it. I'll just start from the beginning. This story, I call it Agarwood Rescue. Oh no, it's the Black Absolute Mother Keeper, the story, to start with. Next, Yechin brought Otsutsuki Kagaya to the ninja world, and planted the divine tree, stole the fruit of the divine tree, made a white Jew, prepared to fight with the Otuki clan, and finally was sealed on the moon by the 2 sons with filial piety and said one by one. At the same time, Yechin also told all the glorious deeds that he had planned for thousands of years in order to save his mother. Finally, it is even more obvious that Uchiha was fooled by the black, and in order to achieve peace in the ninja world, he arranged to collect tailed beasts, resurrected which is good, the 10 tails, and opened the infinite moon reading, all of which were said. After saying everything, Yechin looked at the stunned beast in person, and finally looked at the 9 tails. How is it? 9 llamas, you don't want to be devoured either, do you? Quote. Yi Chen's voice made this person and beast return to Shen Chao at the same time. Before the 9 tails could reply, Ju Shinai said angrily, Big Tube Wood Feather, these 2 guys in Big Tube Wood Feather village are really not things. If I have such a son, I will directly strangle it. Quote. Yi Chen, 9 tails. All right. The woman's focus was different, and Yechin ignored her and looked at the 9 tails again. You mean, you want to work with me to stop Kuro from releasing Kaguya? The 9 tails looked at Yechin with a solemn face. Nope. Yechin shook his head, and then, he looked at the 9 tails. I'm going to release Kaguya. Quote. You, what did you say? Quote. The 9 tails, who originally had a solemn expression, suddenly widened his eyes when he heard Yi Chen's words. I said, I'm going to release Kaguya out. Yechin smiled, and then said seriously. Are you crazy? Do you know what you're talking about? The 9 tails is a little crazy. Originally, it thought that Yechin said so much because he wanted to cooperate with it and prevent Heija from releasing Kaguya. However, it never expected that he was going to release Kaguya, which Yechin, although Kaguya is a little pitiful, she was secretly calculated by 2 unfilial sons, but if she is released, the ninja world will be completely over, Ju Shinai said worriedly. That's right, that's right. When the 9 tails heard Ju Shinai's words, he completely forgot that he had just been beaten by this woman, and nodded his head in agreement, as if he had met his soulmate. Little ghost, you actually know that Kaguya has eaten the fruit of the divine tree, then you should know how terrifying her strength will be. She is not a good man and a woman. Moreover, she is still a 6-way-old man. If you want to find a woman, don't look for her. Quote. The words of the 9 tails were very serious at the beginning, but in the end, directly crooked the building. Yechin heard this. It was a black line full of heads. What was this stinky fox talking about? Is he that full of calculations? He is also a woman in Ju Shinai, and a Makoto has not yet arrived, right? Moreover, How old is Kaguya Otsutsuki? Well, age is not an issue. She's a mother of 2. Well, cooked. The woman is also good. Moreover, these 6 immortal brothers are only created by her yin and yang escape technique, and they are not really young women, right? Cough. Off topic. Anyway, even if he is in the morning. Well, wait a minute. It seems that receiving Kaguya Hime has a lot of benefits. Not to mention that there is an additional powerful help, after receiving her, the luck that can be obtained. Hiss. What should I do if I suddenly feel a little moved? Hey, you're not going to come for real, are you? Seeing that Yechin fell into deep thought, the Nine Tails had a somewhat heartwarmed expression, and his heart clicked. In the current ninja world, the strength is the strongest in the night. Moreover, he is still so young, and his future strength will definitely be even more terrifying. If he joins forces with Yu, Cacb, Tomoha and Kurohue, will there be anyone in the entire ninja world who is an opponent? What if he pumped his head and didn't need any leaf soil to catch it, and directly fed it to the 10 tails in the night morning? Thinking of this, the 9 tails felt a chill in his heart, and quickly spoke again, "Young man. Kaguya is older than me, and you're younger to grasp it. Listen to my advice, don't hit her attention. Moreover, speaking of the Senju clan or the descendants of Kaguya Hime, aren't you a jockey sleeping ancestor like this?" Quote. Makes sense, but Yechin was thinking about how much luck he could get after receiving Kaguya, what level of luck gift package he could buy, and what kind of good treasure he would get. After hearing the words of the 9 tails, I subconsciously wanted to say that there was no big problem, and it was okay to ride the ancestor. However, before the words could be spoken, he suddenly felt a chill in his heart. Yechin suddenly came back to his senses and turned his head to look at Ju Shinai on the side. I saw Ju Shinai at this time, still with a faint smile on his face, but this smile is a little scary. Yechin quickly looked at the 9 tails, pointed at it and cursed. Good you beast, almost confused by you, am I Yechin the kind of person who makes the kind of jockey sleeping ancestor? The faceless smelly fox, his thoughts turned out to be so dirty. Quote. 9 tails. Yi Chen secretly glanced at Ju Shinai out of the corner of his eye, saw that her expression was still cold, and spoke again, cough. I tell you, Kaguya Hime is not the scourge of this world, on the contrary, she should be counted as the savior of this world. Quote. Hearing Yi Chen's words, not only the 9 tails were stunned. Even Ju Shinai, who was staring at Yechin with an unkind face on the side, was full of confusion at this time. I just said that she made by Ju to resist the Dadamu clan, although she also wants to protect herself, but her purpose is the same as ours. This universe is very dangerous, and the ninja world is just a speck of dust in the universe. And the reason why the Otsutsuki clan came to the ninja world is to use the natural energy of the ninja world to cultivate the divine tree to strengthen itself. Although Kaguya Hime is also a member of the Otsutsuki clan, she has the same enemy as us, that is, the Otsutsuki clan. Quote. In the future, the ninja world will face countless dangers, so we must gather all the high-level combat power in this world to deal with the Otsutsuki clan, and even. When Yechin said this, a light called ambition flashed in his eyes. Even, one day, we will counterattack the Dadamu clan. Ju Shinai, the 9 tails are all stupid at this time. Completely frightened by Yechin's words. One second he was still talking about the ninja world, and the next second he was in the universe, the Otsutsuki clan. Even, Yechin wanted to counterattack the Dadamu clan, which, isn't the span too big? Yechin looked at the confused 9 tails, smiled slightly, stepped forward, stretched out a fist, and faced the 9 tails. How is it? 9 llamas, do you want to come with me to see the magnificent universe? Want to go and see the origin of chakra, the big tube wood family? Quote. A magnificent universe, the place of origin of chakra. Interesting. The 9 tails came back to his senses, and when he heard Yi Chen's words, his heart somehow felt a little hot. Hey, let's go out and take a look together. Anyway, this old man in the ninja world has been shopping for thousands of years, and he is tired of shopping. The corners of the 9 tails' mouth were slight, and he also stretched out his fist and collided with Yi Chen's fist. 2 fists, one big and one small, touched together at this time. This picture is like the 9 tails and Naruto in the original book. Yechin looked up at the 9 tails with a smile on his face. The 9 tails also looked down at Yechin, the corners of his mouth slightly raised. Hey, it seems that I am the human pillar force, right? Quote. On the side, Ju Shinai had a black face, watching a person and a beast fist collide together, affectionately, looking at each other's scene, and his heart was speechless and dead. This Nima, is it you a human pillar force, or am I a human pillar force? How do I feel? I am superfluous, you are true love. Ah, the affectionate person and beast looked at each other, and when they heard Ju Shinai's words, they suddenly froze. Immediately afterwards, Yechin and the Nine Tails were embarrassed for a while. That's right, Ju Shinai is the human pillar force, he just came to help in the night morning, I went, Hokage saw more, and substituted himself. Night morning in the room. Ju Shinai, who was sitting cross-knee on the bed, opened his eyes, and then glared viciously at the fool on the other side. Yechin was seen by Ju Shinai, and scratched his head a little embarrassed. Or transfer the Nine Tails to you. When Ju Shinai thought of the scene of Yechin bumping fists, he suddenly lost his breath. What's going on here? It was clear that he came to help, but the result was good, and he directly made the Nine Tails lame. Making the night and morning is the same as the human pillar power. This is not necessary. Yechin scratched his head. No way. When he first watched the Hokage, every time he saw Naruto and the Nine Tails colliding with fists, there was a kind of excitement in his heart, and he even fantasized that he also had such a powerful partner in his body. However, for him now, the power of the Nine Tails is really nothing. Ju Shinai rolled her eyes, didn't bother to pay attention to him, pulled the quilt over, and lay down. Hey. Seeing this, Yechin quickly leaned in. The war begins. Meanwhile, Konoha, atop the Hokage rock. Uchiha looked down at the brightly lit Konoha, his eyes full of depth. How have you thought about it? Quote, a black and white pitcher plant rises on the ground at the foot of Uchiha. Uchiha seemed to have expected this suddenly rising pitcher plant, and his eyes were still looking at Konoha. Never rushed, just waited there quietly. Long. Uchiha slowly spoke, it's okay for me to join your organization, but you must also have the strength to let me join your organization, and I don't want to join some small organizations founded by cats and dogs. Quote. Strength. The space next to Uchiha Shuishui spun rapidly, and immediately after, a man dressed in a black robe and wearing a yellow swirl mask appeared beside him. I don't know, what do you think of my strength? A scarlet kaleidoscope chakra eye, shining with a strange light in the dark night. Uchiha turned his head slightly and looked at Uchiha Waterway. In Uchiha's eyes that stopped the water, a kaleidoscope pattern of writing wheel eyes also appeared, and his gaze fell on Uchiha Obito. Who are you? You started the Nine Tails rebellion back then, right? I don't remember the Uchiha clan having you as the number one. Quote. Uchiha smiled faintly, but because he was covered by the mask, only his voice could be heard. Hearing Uchiha's words to stop the water, he knew that the time had come for him to pretend again. With a somewhat low voice, he slowly spoke, it's just the undead of Uchiha, and in the current ninja world, I'm afraid that few people remember me. Quote. Uchiha said with soil, his kaleidoscope chakra eyes slowly spinning, my name, Uchiha Madara. Quote. After Uchiha Obito finished speaking, his eyes kept staring at Uchiha's face. He liked to see the shocked expressions of those strong people after hearing this name. Just like the original 4 generations of Hokage. However, this time Uchiha Obito was disappointed. After Uchiha Shisui heard Uchiha Obito say that he was Uchiha Madara, the kaleidoscope chakra eye almost rolled his eyes. He no longer looked at this guy who was pretending to be everywhere through the name of Uchiha, and his gaze fell on Konoha again. Take a look at it more. Maybe soon, he will leave the village. How? Don't believe it. Uchiha took 2 to see that Uchiha stopped the water and ignored him, and he was a little annoyed in his heart, but his tone was still very calm. I have checked the information of Uchiha Madara, and I have also analyzed the character of Uchiha Madara. Uchiha still didn't look at Uchiha with soil, and he said in an indifferent tone, although I don't know who you really are, but with my personality analysis of Uchiha, he won't be the rat who hides his head and tail. Quote. Uchiha Obito was suddenly speechless. Sure enough, getting along with geniuses or something, it was the most annoying. Inexplicably, Uchiha thought of Kakashi, and then, thought of Kakashi's Chidori, a scene that ran through Rin's chest. Phew, Uchiha let out a breath, and his gaze also fell on the brightly lit village of Konoha. I'll help you when that time comes, and at the same time, I'll pick you up. After Uchiha Obito said this sentence, the surrounding space distorted, and immediately after, his whole person was sucked into the space and disappeared. Looking forward to your joining, Uchiha Shisui. After saying these words, Uchiha burrowed into the ground and also disappeared. No, sure enough, it's hidden deep enough. Uchiha looked at the place where Uchiha took the soil and disappeared, and secretly said in his heart. Late at night, in an underground chamber, Konoha F 4 times together. Ape Flying Sun sat in his seat. Shimura Danzo glared at Ape Flying Sun with one eye, and his face was full of displeasure. Ape Fei, are you crazy? Do you let a Uchiha perform such a mission? Moreover, also promised him to leave the village. Do you know what you're doing? Don't you know how harmful his eyes are to Konoha? No, I will never agree to this proposal. Quote, Kaharu, who was sleeping in the secret room, and Mito Menyon did not speak, but just looked at the two quietly. Hearing Shimura Danzo's words, Sarutobi exhaled a smoke ring, raised his head, glanced at his old friend, and then his gaze fell on his eyes that were covered by a white cloth. Shimura Danzo, who was originally still imposing, saw the Ape Flying Sun's gaze, fell on his eyes, and suddenly closed his mouth. Sarutobi withdrew his gaze, and then said lightly, I believe that Shisui will not betray Konoha, and I also believe that he will not disappoint me. Quote, HMPH. When Shimura Tuan heard this, he snorted coldly, and then spoke, Ape Fei, don't you forget, when the time comes, we will face not only Uchiha, but also a night mourning. If Uchiha stops the water and turns against the water, we will not have good fruits to eat at that time. Quote, yes, Ape Flying, the strength of that night mourning, I am afraid it is close to the point of the first generation. If we add a Uchiha with a kaleidoscope riding wheel to stop the water, we will only have a dead end. Quote, Kaharu also echoed at this time. Sarutobi, or we will solve Uchiha to stop the water and take his eyes over, and then we can use his pupil technique to control Yechin. Mito Menyon also spoke. That's right, Sarutobi, we'll do this. If we can control Yoruto, then which ninja village in the ninja world is our opponent of Konoha? Kaharu echoed. Naive, Shimura Danzo opened his mouth with disdain at this time. Do you think that if Uchiha can control the night mourning, we will still need to spend so much time? Shimura Danzo looked at these two former companions, the ants at this time, with disdain. Shisui told me that Yechin also has a kaleidoscope chakra eye, plus his immortal body. His pupil power is much stronger than him, and other heavenly gods may fail. Ape Flying Sun said lightly. So what to do? At that time, against Yuji's wavering hand, Yechin will definitely not stand idly by. Kaharu said a little flustered. Don't worry, I have a way to deal with Yechin, said slowly as Ape Fairy's eyes flashed with light. Time flies. Half a month passed in the blink of an eye. The sun is setting in the west, the moon is high, and night is falling. At night, Konoha village is brightly lit, especially Chinatown and Wanda Plaza, which are crowded and prosperous. However, this prosperous scene is only for those civilians. Under this scene, the entire Konoha can be described as a hidden murderous plot. Almost all ninjas could feel that Konoha at this time was enveloped by an oppressive atmosphere. 1,000 Hands, Night and Morning Mansion. Night Morning, dressed in a black ninja vest, stood in front of the door and looked up at the bright moon above the night sky. He remembered that the moon of the Nine Tails Rebellion was just like it was now. Is it finally coming? Yechin sighed, and immediately, he couldn't suppress the excitement of 693 in his heart. After tonight, I am in charge of Konoha. Quote. At this time, Ju Shinai, who was also dressed in a ring costume, walked over and stood shoulder to shoulder with Yechin, also looking up at the bright moon in the night sky. Night Morning, it's almost time, it's time for us to go. The two quietly looked up at the night sky for a long time, and finally, Ju Shinai turned his head to look at Yechin. Yechin nodded, and then asked, Naruto, are they all hidden? Quote. They're all in an underground shelter, and with Makoto and her grandfather there, nothing will go wrong, replied Ju Shinai. Good, let's go, there is an old friend waiting for me outside the gate. Quote. Yechin nodded, and immediately, his eyes looked outside the gate of the Thousand Hands clan, and the corners of his mouth rose slightly. Walking out of the mansion, Yechin walked side by side with Ju Shinai on the avenue where the Thousand Hands were stationed. And at this time, the station of the Thousand Hands clan became deserted again, like a huge Thousand Hands clan, and once again became the night mourning, Ju Shinai and the two. Soon, the two walked across the avenue that crossed the Thousand Hands station and came to the gate of the Thousand Hands station. Long time no see, night mourning, Ju Shinai. Yechin and Ju Shinai had just walked out of the gate when a voice came into their ears. Yechin and Ju Shinai looked in the direction where the voice came from, and saw a tall man with white hair like a hedgehog and stepping on a clog jumping down from a rooftop. Jiraiya, why don't you go to peep at women bathing and taking materials, and come to me to block me for? Quote. Yechin looked at the comber, hugged his chest with his hands, and said with a faint smile on his face. Frame, this is a frame, how can I, the toad immortal of Miaomu Mountain, do such a voyeuristic thing? Yechin, don't frame me, no one in the ninja world knows that I am notoriously pure. Quote. Zilai also heard Yi Chen's words, as if bitten by a snake. The whole person jumped up, pointed at Yi Chen and shouted. HMPH. Jiraiya, thanks to you being able to open your eyes and say nonsense, you guy is not only, but also has no responsibility at all, no wonder Tsunade's sister doesn't like you. Ju Shinai pouted and said without giving Ju Lai face. Yechin and Ju Shinai, who have lived in the Senju clan since childhood, have such a good relationship with Tsunade, and as a member of Tsunade's team, she and Yechin are naturally familiar with each other. Zilai also saw Ju Shinai, rolled his eyes, and then looked at Yi Chen. Yi Chen, don't just think about dragging me into the water, my affectionate paradise, or the name you take. Moreover, many of the themes in it are what you told me, such as what rabbit ear girl, cat woman, bikini, and what Guanyin sitting Lian, Awei 18 style, old man. Stop. Stop. When Yechin heard Jiraiya's words, his face darkened. I'll go. When I told you this, didn't I want to popularize entertainment knowledge to the ninja world? What if you said yes and don't expose me? Sacks, men's mouths, really unreliable. Suddenly, Yechin felt a gaze full of killing intent shooting towards him. Turn your head and look. Immediately, he saw Ju Shinai staring at him with a black face. Yechin hid a spirit, quickly turned his head, and looked at Zilai. Zilai, less nonsense, you really want to help the ape fly to the sun? Don't tell me, you don't know, what are they going to do tonight? Quote. When he heard this, the expression on his face converged, and he became extremely solemn. Yechin, you stop, the war is finally over, and Konoha can no longer be in civil strife. Quote. When Yechin heard Jiraiya's words, he immediately laughed. No wonder Sister Tsunade. I don't want to look at you more, it seems that she has long seen your essence. Yechin looked at Jiraiya and shook his head, and then, with some pity, said, Jiraiya, sometimes I pity you. In this life, you are either at the mercy of others or on the way to be manipulated by others. 0 inches. Let's be honest, when I first watched the original work, Yechin liked Zilai very much, especially when he saw the episodes where Zilai was also killed, and the scene where Zilai also returned to the sea. Tears couldn't help but flow. However, as he grew older, he recalled the life of Jiraiya. There is no longer that emotion for Jiraiya. In the end, it is just a flag at the mercy of others. Why do you say that? Looking at Jiraiya's life, I don't say that he was at the mercy of Sarutobi when he was young. After all, he was also for Konoha at that time. However, the second half of his life was miserable. It took most of his life to rush for the Son of Luck that the old toad said, and what prophecy of change in the ninja world. And finally, as the Son of Luck, Naruto seems to have brought changes to the ninja world, but it seems that he did not. Because, to get around, the ninja world is still that ninja world, and the 5 major ninja villages are still the 5 major ninja villages. Is there any change in this? How is this different from the ninja world created by the Senju Pillar? Oh, it's not right to say that there is no change at all, but that is also because of the people of the Big Tube Wood family. According to the ninja pattern in the original work, Naruto and Sasuke died, and there was no invasion of the Otsutsuki clan, so what is the difference between it and now? And, that old toad is not a good thing either. Not to mention anything else, if it weren't for this old toad instigating the Otsutsuki Haji brothers to rebel against Kaguya, it would have led to a lack of high-end combat power. If Kaguya's mother and son hadn't turned against each other, with the potential of these three people, the strength would not know where strong they were in the past thousands of years. Looking through all the plots of the original book, although the old toad did not show up much, the old toad was the one who danced the most. Every change in the ninja world is inseparable from the calculation of that old toad. Therefore, in Yechen's opinion, the old toad of Miaomu Mountain is sinister. This is also the reason why he did not find Zilai and went to Miaomu Mountain to learn the immortal method. Zilai also heard Yi Chen's words, and stared at him with a frown. What do you mean? Quote. Yechen shook his head without saying more, and looked in the direction of the Uchiha clan. Jiraiya, your task is complete. Quote. When Zilai heard this, he turned his head and also looked in the direction of the Uchiha clan. I saw that around the Uchiha clan at this time, translucent, purple enchantments rose up on all sides. That's the 4 purple sun array. It is also the 4 purple sun array that covers the entire Uchiha clan. Or did it start? Old man, I hope you don't regret it in the future. Quote. Looking at the Uchiha family, who was completely shrouded in the 4 purple sun array, Zilai also had a complicated expression. Thinking like this, Zilai also looked at Yechen and Ju Shinai again, and said with a serious expression, sorry, Yechen, Ju Shinai, I promised the old man to help him once, so you better not go out tonight. Quote. When Yechen and Ju Shinai heard this, they looked at each other and suddenly smiled. Zilai was also a little puzzled by the attitude of the two. And just when he was puzzled, Yechen looked at him and said, Zilai, do you think I know that you are delaying time? Why are we still here to fight with you? Quote. When he heard this, his face suddenly changed. Bang. At this moment, Ju Shinai suddenly exploded, turned into a white mist, and disappeared in place. This turned out to be just Ju Shinai's shadow doppelganger. And looking at the night morning, it did not disappear, but launched an attack towards Zilai. Bang. Zilai also took Yi Chen's blow, looked at Yi Chen, and said with a solemn face, you. It's also a doppelganger, right? Quote. Yechen smiled slightly, and while attacking Jiraiya, he said, you guess. Quote. And it was at the time of the night and the self-help. The Uchiha family, inside an underground square. At this time, in this underground square, more than 500 ninjas of the Uchiha clan gathered. Each of these ninjas stared at a pair of scarlet eyes. Among these scarlet eyes, there are 2 or 3 hook jades, which are slowly rotating. And these people are all the elite troops of the Uchiha clan, and the ninjas of the Uchiha clan here have the lowest strength of the middle ninja of Urgoyu. The very front of the square, Uchiha Fugaku opened a pair of 3 hook jade chakra eyes and swept over everyone present. And no one at the scene spoke, and all their eyes fell on Uchiha Fugaku. Long, Uchiha Fugaku was expressionless, and slowly spoke, everyone, I think you all know that since the 2nd generation took the throne, we Uchiha have been suppressed. However, at that time, even if it was suppressed, it was okay, at least we still had a little right to speak. However, since Ape Fei retook the throne, this suppression has not disappeared, but has intensified. Even, some of our clansmen who were born and died for Konoha and went to war were caught by them and gouged out their eyes and became guinea pigs in the laboratory. Quote. When Uchiha Fugaku said this, all the Uchiha clansmen present clenched their fists, and the guyu in the eyes of the riding wheel sped up a little more. A few years ago, Konoha was attacked by the 9 Tails, and because the person who controlled the 9 Tails, a Uchiha clan who appeared out of nowhere, drove our clan to the edge of Konoha. And today, I got the news that they are going to wave their hands on our entire Uchi. Yes, they are going to destroy our entire Uchiha clan. Quote. When Uchiha Fugaku said this, the original 3 hook jade riding wheel eye quickly spun up. I, Uchiha, have been from the warring states to this day, and have never been afraid of war, but they want to destroy us Uchiha, what do you say? Kill, kill, kill. Hundreds of Uchiha's elite ninjas, staring at a pair of scarlet chakra eyes, roared with anger on their faces. Uchiha Fugaku raised his hand and signaled everyone to be quiet. In an instant, these Uchiha elites all closed their mouths, but their faces were still full of anger. Uchiha Fugaku looked at the murderous people and nodded with satisfaction. Not bad, they dared to hand our Uchiha waves, then let them see, we are not muddy. Moreover, you can also rest assured that your family has all been transferred, and today it will be a mess for him, and your family will not be in any danger. Quote. When Uchiha Fugaku said this, he paused for a moment, and then spoke again. A flying sun slashing them tonight is menacing, and it is about to destroy my Uchiha posture. And at this time when the life and death of the extinction of the clan is at stake, we Uchiha even have some stupid people who have become lackeys of the enemy. Quote. Crash. The people, who were originally still full of anger, heard Uchiha Fugaku say that their Uchiha clan even had people who betrayed the family, and they were all in an uproar. Who exactly betrayed Uchiha? Quote. HMPH. Do you still need to say it? It must be the three elders of them. Quote. Yes, it must be those grandchildren. During this time, those guys and the ape flying sun chop them or not Chong. I also saw the grandson of the three elders, who entered the ape flying family. Why are these guys so stupid? It is already known to everyone that the ape flying sun slashed the mind of our Uchiha. They even turned to them. They want to die, don't drag down the family. Quote. Kill them, these guys all deserve to die. Alas, ape flying sun chopping, they have already decided to make a move on the family. They must have been prepared, plus those traitors, we are sad. Quote. I'm afraid of a fart, it's a big deal to fight to the death, even if labor and management die, they have to pull a few cushions. That's right, anyway, my family members have all been transferred away, even if I die in battle, I have no worries. Quote. Alas, with our strength, how can we cope with the ape flying sun and slashing them? For a while, the whole square was noisy. Some of these Uchiha people were extremely angry, some were full of worry, and some were silent with their brows furrowed. But no matter what they say, they all show a meaning. That is, with these people, they are simply unable to fight against ape flying sun and the others, and there are traitors to the leading party. All quiet, looking at the noisy crowd, Uchiha Fugaku drank loudly, and then a momentum erupted from him and pressed down on everyone. Instantly, the scene fell silent. I know what you are worried about, and I also know that the power of ape flying sun chopper and the others is strong, and it is not at all what we can compete with now, but... When Uchiha Fugaku said this, a smile appeared on his expressionless face. We still have allies to help. Quote. The originally solemn and serious people of the Uchiha tribe were stunned when they suddenly heard Uchiha Fugaku's words. Click. The door on the left behind Uchiha Fugaku was pulled open, and everyone's eyes looked in the direction of that door. Immediately afterwards, they saw a tall young man wearing a black vest, and a woman with red hair, also wearing a ring suit, walked out. All the Uchiha clansmen, seeing these two, were all stunned for a moment, and then there was an uproar. Night morning Sama. Quote. It's Lord Yechin. Oh my god, when did Lord Yechin come to us Uchiha? Haha, great, the night morning adult is coming, and you are afraid of a fart ape flying to the sun. Quote. The Uchiha people present were all boiling. The former Uchiha and Senju, although they are already enemies. However, that night morning showed the great power of Mu Duan, coupled with the oppression of ape flying sun chopper and others. The hatred of the two races had been put down, and the spearhead was unanimously aimed at ape Fei Rechop and others. At this time, the Uchiha family faced the difficulty of extinction. Yechin, such a strong person, appeared here. This is a clear intention to help Uchiha. I won't say more nonsense. What I want to say is that starting tonight, the sky of Konoha is about to change. So, dance for me and let me see the power of your Uchiha. Yechin stood next to Uchiha Fugaku with an indifferent look on his face, and spoke to the hundreds of Uchiha elite ninjas. Oh, there are not many words in the night morning. However, listening to the ears of many Uchiha people, it was as if it had magical power, which made the blood of all Uchiha people boil. Looking at the morale of the people, Yechin raised his hand. Moment. Everyone closed their mouths and looked at Yechin one by one. The Uchiha clan is arrogant by nature, and they only serve the strong. And Yechin is the strong man in their eyes. Everyone waits in place, and in a moment we will rush out and beat out the she of the ape flying sun. The corners of Yechin's mouth rose slightly, like a crooked mouth god of war. Meanwhile, in a room where the Uchiha family is stationed, the three elders of the Uchiha clan, as well as the four elders and several other high-ranking Ujibo clans, also gathered together at this time. Hehe, just now Lord Hokage sent someone to bring news that they have been deployed. Let us summon all the clansmen back. and monitor the movements of those people in Uchiha Fugaku. Everyone, after this evening, Uchiha will return to glory with the full support of Naruto-sama. Quote. The three elders of Uchiha looked at the few people present, and an old face was full of smiles. What the third elder said is that Naruto-sama has promised me that as long as we get rid of these troubles of Uchiha Fugaku, our Uchiha clan can return to our original station. The four elders of Uchiha also echoed. HMPH. It's all that Uchiha Fugaku. Since he took office, we Uchiha have been worse day by day, and now we are actually uniting with the Senju clan to deal with Naruto-sama. It is simply dead or alive. A middle-aged man with a somewhat gloomy expression said with disdain. Yes, he Uchiha Fugaku also shook the status of Naruto-sama with that night morning, and now it's good. After tonight, Uchiha Fugaku's line will be removed forever. A Uchiha shinobu couldn't help but speak. Suddenly, a scorching yang attribute chakra fluctuation enveloped the entire Uchiha station. In the room, everyone who sensed this chakra fluctuation all stood up. Afterwards, the three elders of Uchiha laughed loudly. Naruto-sama, they want to do it, and we are also ready to cooperate with Naruto-sama and their actions. The three elders of Uchiha said and took the lead out of the room. Seeing this, everyone in the room followed one after another. After the three elders of Uchiha and the others left the room, they were the first to see a huge full moon. And because of the angle, they saw a telephone pole under this huge full moon. And, above this pole, there is a figure. Naruto-sama is too careless, right? Actually let this dark department appear there brazenly, isn't this a grass scare? Quote. The third elder Yuzebo looked at the figure in the background of the huge full moon and couldn't help but speak. Sue. At this moment, the figure flashed and disappeared in place. Ah, help, you. Uchiha, stop the water. You, what are you doing? Ah. Don't kill me, don't kill me. Uchiha Shisui, you dare to kill your fellow tribesmen, believe it or not, I went to the third elder to treat you. Aha. Help, help, Uchiha stopped the water crazy. Ah. When that figure disappeared, the entire Uchiha clan exploded directly like a pot of oil poured with water. When the third elder and the others heard this movement, they suddenly felt a trace of uneasiness in their hearts. Rumble. In the direction of the gate, there was a loud noise, followed by a flurry of panicked footsteps from far and near. Thump. A Uchiha clan covered in blood and with a look of horror on his face stumbled in. It's Yan. When the three elders of Yuzebo and the others saw the people coming, they were immediately shocked. Uchiha Yan, the son of the three elders, is also an elite shinobi. Moreover, he also has a mission tonight. His mission is to take the Uchiha clan of their lineage and unite the three generations of Hokage to deal with Uchiha Fugaku together. But now, how did he come back alone covered in blood? Yan, what's wrong with you? Didn't you cooperate with Naruto-sama and them? How did you get this up? Quote. Seeing his son, the third elder Uchiha hurriedly stepped forward and asked. Father, we got it. We have all been lied to by three generations. They not only want to destroy the Uchiha Fugaku lineage, but also want to directly destroy the Uchiha family. Uchiha Yan saw that he was all father, a person in his 40s, crying like a child at this time. What? Hearing Yuzebo's words, not only the three elders of Yuzebo were taken aback, but everyone present was shocked. The three generations of Hokage turned out to be want to destroy the whole Uchiha. Burst. The third elder of Uchiha suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood, and his face that had just been full of pride suddenly turned pale. Ah, it was the old man who killed Uchiha. I am Uchiha's sinner on A. The three elders of Uchiha cried. Snap. Before everyone could appease the three elders of Uchiha, a sound of footsteps slowly came. Everyone looked in the direction of the footsteps. In the dark, the first thing that appeared was a scarlet eye, and then a figure slowly walked out. The three elders of Uchiha and the others all closed their mouths and looked at the figure that came out of the black darkness. The man slowly walked out of the shadows, and the moonlight fell on him. The crowd also saw who was coming. I saw that the person who came was a young man wearing a black tight vest, holding a long knife that was still dripping blood, and who looked to be about 20 years old. Uchiha stopped the water. The super genius of the Uchiha clan, in the three wars, even combined the instantaneous body technique and the sword technique, and broke through the name of instantaneous water stopping. Not long ago, it was reported that he opened the kaleidoscope chakra eye that only Uchiha possessed. He is the pride of the Uchiha clan. Now, however, he became the executioner of the Uchiha clan. You, Uchiha, stop the water. You dare to betray the family. You are a sinner of Uchiha. The three elders of Uchiha looked at Uchiha, who was expressionless, still holding a long knife stained red with blood in his hand, and slowly walked towards them, and scolded with a trembling voice. Me, Uchiha's sinner. Quote, Uchiha stopped his steps, and a pair of scarlet kaleidoscopic chakra eyes stared at the three elders of Uchiha and the others. Ha, don't forget, you have a share in everything today. Uchiha stopped the water and sneered, and then pointed with a knife at the four purple yang array that shrouded the entire Uchiha in it. If you hadn't closed Uchiha's induction enchantment, the 3 generations would be able to quietly arrange the 4 purple yang array. Can surround the Uchiha clan, but no clansmen find out. Hehe, Uchiha stop the water, just go with the flow, you are the real sinners of the Uchiha clan. Quote. Uchiha's words to stop the water hit the hearts of the 3 elders of Uchiha and the others. Oh, yes, they also have a part in causing all this to happen. If they hadn't secretly closed the enchantment and allowed the enemy to quietly enter Uchiha, if they hadn't believed the nonsense of 3 generations, if it weren't for them. The 3 elders of Uchiha and the others all repented. All right, it's time for you to hit the road. Quote, Uchiha stopped the water and looked at the 3 elders of Uchiha and the others who had collapsed, and said in an icy tone. No, you can't kill me, I'm the 3rd elder of the Uchiha clan, you can't kill me. Quote, hearing Uchiha's words to stop the water, the 3 elders of Uchiha suddenly woke up, and their eyes were full of fear and said, Uchiha stop the water, you are a genius of the Uchiha clan, and you have also opened the kaleidoscope riding wheel eye. As long as you lead Uchiha, we can fight against the ape flying sun. Yes, that's right, as long as you can bring Uchiha against the ape flying sun, I recommend you as the next patriarch. Quote, in the face of death, the 3 elders of Uchiha had no face at all. He turned to the drowning man to grab Uchiha Shuishui, a seemingly thick tree. It's useless. Uchiha shook his head, and immediately, the whole person turned into an afterimage, skipping the 3 elders of Uchiha and the others. Almost in the blink of an eye, Uchiha stopped the water and appeared behind the 3 elders of Uchiha and the others. Only if you die, the Uchiha clan will be better. Uchiha stopped his head and did not look back, turned his back to the 3 elders of Uchiha and the others, and after whispering a word, the whole person turned into a black shadow and disappeared in place. We are all sinners of Uchiha. Quote, the 3 elders of Uchiha, who were standing in place, listened to the screams outside, and said this sentence with difficulty. Poof. At the necks of the 3 elders of Uchiha and the others, a line of blood appeared in unison, and immediately after, one head fell from the shoulder. The killing continues. The Uchiha family's station burst into flames, screams, curses, and killings. CACF. Poof. Poof. On a path where Uchiha was stationed, Uchiha stopped the water like a ruthless killing demon, and his body turned into one afterimage, passing by one after another of the Uchiha people. And then, whether it's an old man, a child or a woman, either the head was cut off directly, or it was directly cut in half. For a time, the entire street, stump and broken arms were covered all over the ground, and blood was like water, dyeing this street with a layer of bright colors. In this way, Uchiha held a long knife and cut from the street to the end of the street. All the way there were stump and severed arms, corpses were strewn across the field, he did not blink his eyes, and he would not dry. Finally, Uchiha stopped the water like sweeping garbage, and disposed of everyone on this street in a hurry. He stopped. A jump landed on the roof of a building. No more shots. Because someone has already taken over his job. The ape flying sun slashed, and they had already begun to slaughter the entire Uchiha. It's really ruthless, even their own people can raise the butcher knife without blinking. Moreover, everyone doesn't even have a chance to react. I can only say that it is worthy of stopping the water in an instant. The space next to Uchiha stopped the water for a while, and then Uchiha with a mask appeared next to him. Uchiha Shisui ignored Uchiha Obito. He was condescending, a pair of scarlet kaleidoscopic chakra eyes, looking at the dark part of Konoha, the ninja at the root, constantly slaughtering Uchiha's people. Uchiha took two to see that Uchiha stopped the water and ignored him, and did not get angry, glanced in one direction, and then, the space continued to twist and rotate again. After you are done, I will come to pick you up. Quote. Said, disappeared in place again. After Uchiha took the soil to leave, Uchiha stopped the water and glanced at the location where Uchiha Obito had just been. Stop the water. At this time, Sarutobi Hinata, who was dressed in a ring suit, brought Shimura Danzo and hundreds of dark ninjas and root ninjas to Uchiha Shisui. Naruto-sama. Uchiha Shisui respectfully saluted the ape flying sun. Stop the water, you did a good job. Sarutobi Hinata looked at Uchiha Shisui's respectful look with a hint of a smile on his face, and then, he frowned and said, Shisui, didn't you meet Uchiha Fugaku's family? And also, why didn't those elites of the Uchiha clan see any of them? Quote. Naruto-sama, are you looking for us? Quote. Hearing Ape Flying Sun's question, he didn't wait for Uchiha to stop saying more. A voice reached everyone's ears. Naruto-sama, are you looking for us? In an instant, everyone's body was a shock. In the hearts of Sarutobi Hinata and Shimura Danzo, a bad premonition arose. Everyone's eyes were all looking in the direction where the sound came from. I saw that at the end of the street full of stumped limbs and broken arms, hundreds of people ignored the corpses around them, blood and water, and slowly walked with red light in their eyes. Well, the Sharingan eye is open in the dark, but it's not glowing red. Uchiha Fugaku. Quote. Ape Fei-ri looked at the person who took the lead, his face full of solemnity. This gesture is obviously prepared. Ape Flying Sun, tonight is the day of your law. Uchiha Fugaku stared at a pair of three-hook jade chakra eyes, staring at the Ape Flying Sun chop and slowly spoke. Fufa, Ape Fei-ri asked, stunned for a moment, and then smiled. I am the third generation of Konoha's Hokage, what is my sin? Why should I fall for the law? Quote. Speaking of this, he looked at Uchiha Fugaku and the others seriously. It's you, Uchiha Fugaku, who dares to lead the Uchiha clan and rebel against Konoha, what should you do? Quote. Oh, are you not guilty of Ape Flying Sun? I can't see it, can I? At this moment, another voice came into everyone's ears. Everyone looked in the direction of the sound. I saw two figures on a 3-story building, and I didn't know when they appeared there. Night Morning, Jusenai, how could you see these two? Ape Flying Sun was shocked. Obviously you have already asked Jiraiya to intercept us, but why are we in Uchiha? The voice of the Night Morning faintly entered the ears of Ape Flying Sun Chopper, but it made Ape Flying Sun Chopper and others hear it. Phew, Ape Flying Sun let out a long breath. Although he didn't know why Ming Ming came to intercept Yechen and the two, now Yechen and the two still appeared here. However, now is not the time to dwell on this issue. Night Morning, Uchiha Fugaku led people to rebel against Konoha, what do you want to do here? Do you want to rebel too? Quote. HMPH. Also, you say that the old man is guilty, and you want the old man to be punished, do you have any evidence? Quote. The old man has been conscientious to Konoha since he became the Hokage, and he never dares to slack, what is the point of you framing the old man like this? Ape Fei-ri looked sad and indignant, looking at Yi-chen, as if he had been greatly wronged. Snap. Yechen watched the performance of the Ape Flying Sun, and couldn't help but start applauding. What a conscientious third-generation Hokage. Yi-chen's gaze towards the Ape Flying Sun was full of contempt. So, I want to ask, are conscientious 3 generations, why has Konoha's strength been inferior to 1 generation since you took office? Quote. Not to mention why my Senju clan became like this, I just want to ask, where did you get the body of the previous patriarch of my Senju clan, that is, the body of the first Hokage? I want to ask, why did the secret mission of Konoha White Fang, who was once famous and terrified in other countries' ninja villages, be exposed? Hee, don't say that the mission was accidentally leaked, this ghost doesn't believe it. Moreover, such a confidential mission is known to the whole village, and the partner who rescued himself is against the water. Oh yes, I remember, one of the partners of Konoha White Fang was your Ape Flying One, right? Hee, a shadow-level peak combat power was actually forced to commit suicide, you Hokage is really conscientious. Quote. And to Anzo. At this time, it was as if a judge who had pronounced a verdict turned over the disgusting things that Ape Fei-ri and others had done. And when Ape Fei Richo and the others heard that Yechin had been those events that he didn't want to mention, they all turned over, and the look on their faces was almost ready to open a dying workshop. Father, was it driven to death? Quote, in the dark team behind the ape flying sun, a dark ninja with a dog-headed mask, when he heard Yechin mention the suicide of Konoha Whitefang, his body trembled slightly, and then he lowered his head slightly and muttered to himself. This member of the Dark Division is none other than Kakashi Kiki. At this time, Kakashi, because he watched his father be forced to commit suicide when he was young, saw his friend die because of him when he was a teenager, and experienced the tragic death of his partner Rin, as well as his teacher and his mother, he was completely confused about life. At this time, he heard Yi Chen's reversal of his father's case, and pointed out that the mastermind behind all this turned out to be the third generation of Hokage, and his heart, which had been completely dead, suddenly jumped. He, also, our Hokage-sama, without a little evidence, actually led people to surround Uchiha and kill Uchiha. I want to ask. Enough. Sarutobi Hinata's face was livid, as if he had been taken off the mask of the demon, staring at Yechin. Senju Yechin, you and the Uchiha clan plan to rebel against Konoha, and I am in the name of the third generation Hokage. 3 generations of adults. Before Ape Fury finished speaking, a dark clan member scattered in the Uchiha clan's station, slaughtering the Uchiha clan, fell in front of him one by one. Ape Flying Sun was interrupted, and he was very unhappy. But after seeing that these people were all members of the Dark Department who he ordered to slaughter the Uchiha Patriarch and dig up the chakra, his brows loosened slightly and asked, what happened? Have all the rebels been cleaned up? Quote, no, 3 generations of adults, something has happened. The member of the Dark Clan at the head spoke. The clan members of Uchiha, except for the clansmen who are close to the 3 elders of Uchiha and others, the other Uchiha clansmen are all changed by the wooden doppelganger. Quote, what? Ape Flying Sun was taken aback when he heard this. The huge Uchiha family, only the people of the 3 elders of Uchiha are real people, and the others are all fake. They had long known that they were going to do something to the Uchiha clan tonight, so they transferred all those clansmen who were close to them. Su, another member of the Dark Department, fell in front of the Ape Flying Sun Chop, and before the Ape Flying Sun Chop could ask, the Dark member said urgently, 3 generations of adults, it's not good. The Nara clan, the Yamanaka clan, the Akamichi clan, the Hyuga clan and other families, led people to surround the entire Uchiha. The people on our periphery are confronting them, but there are too many people on the other side, and many people have surrendered. Quote, what? Nani? The Ape Flying Sun Chop, who had not yet come to his senses, heard that they were surrounded by the Hinata, Nara, Yamanaka, Akamichi and other families. His whole body was blindfolded. It's not just the Ape Flying Sun. Even Shimura Danzo and the others who came with him were all blindfolded. I'll go, how does it feel, they're Konoha's rebels. Ha. Yi Chen looked at the stunned ape flying into the sun, and couldn't help but laugh. After many years of cloth, as well as forbearance, today is finally the time to harvest. Today's Konoha, it can be said that in addition to Sarutobi, Shimura, Shunyu, Mito and other close families of Sarutobi Hinata. Most of the others, including many civilian ninjas, were taken in by him. It can be said that at this time, Night Morning controlled 2/3 of Konoha's ninjas. How? 997, Generation Hokage-sama. Do you want to surrender or not? Quote. Yi Chen looked at the livid-faced Ape Flying Sun, and asked with an indifferent smile on his face. Hearing Yi Chen's somewhat contemptuous words, the faces of Ape Flying Sun and the others became a little more ugly. HMPH. Night Morning, do you think you have won? Quote. Ape Flying Sun snorted coldly and looked directly at Yi Chen. At this time, next to the Ape Flying Sun, thousands of members of the Dark Department and the Root Department gathered one after another. These are all ninjas who have just scattered around Uchiha Station, slaughtering the Uchiha people. So, is Naruto-sama going to resist to the end? Yechin still had a faint smile on his face, and then, Yechin withdrew his smile and said with a serious face, 3 generations of Hokage used power for personal gain, in order to stabilize their own interests, encroaching on the village. Now, in the name of the patriarch of Konoha's founding family, the Senju clan, I declare that Sarutobi is determined to be a rebel. Quote. Say it. Yechin looked at the dark members behind the Ape Flying Sun. You are all the elites of the village. I don't want to see Konoha have such a big loss because Ape Flying Sun chopping these rats. However, if you are bent on following the Ape Flying Sun and other rebellions, then I can only kill the killer. So, you guys, make your choice. Quote, when Ape Flying Sun heard that Yechin had condemned him as a traitor, how ugly and ugly his face was. Nima, since the end of the Warring States period, I have never heard of a shadow of a village who was judged to be a traitor. He has set a precedent in history. Phew, Ape Fei took a deep breath and looked at Yechin with sharp eyes. Yechin, don't bother in vain, your words. It's okay to seduce others, but the dark parts are the elite of Konoha, you. If you can't seduce them, come if you want to fight. Quote. Oh, is it? When Yechin heard this, he looked at the dark members with interest, and then his gaze fell on a guy with a dog's head mask and white hair. Kakashi, Sarutobi can be said to be your father's murderer. Do you really plan to follow him all the way to the dark? Yikes. Everyone's eyes were on the white hair with the mask. Seeing this, Kakashi removed the dog-faced mask, revealing his face that was covered by the mask for one eye. After Kakashi removed the mask in the dark part, he looked at Sarutobi with a trace of indifference in the exposed eyes. Naruto-sama, is what Yorudo said true? Quote. When Ape Fei heard this, his eyes flickered, and then he immediately hidden. How is it possible? Kakashi, don't. Okay, I already have the answer. The flicker in Ape Flying Suncho's eyes just now, how could he not see it? Without waiting for the ape to finish speaking, the whole person jumped and landed next to Yechin and Ju Shinai. Kakashi, you. Seeing this, Ape Fei's face turned red with anger. However, what made him even more angry was still ahead. The moment Kakashi left, it seemed to have a chain reaction, and a member of the Dark Department removed his mask and landed on the side of the Night Morning. Just a moment, the dark part of the original more than 1,000 people, the Root Elite, now there are only more than 600 left, and more than 400 people have left. Moreover, the people who walked were all ninjas in his dark part, ninjas in the roots, and none of them left. When Ape Fei saw this scene, he almost vomited blood directly to his death. This is an elite that has been cultivated with great difficulty. Ape Fei, look, I've said it all, your set of fire will can't work, you look, you see, what kind of people are you cultivating? Tuan Zhang, who had never spoken, watched most of the dark parts almost defect, and then looked at his roots, and none of them ran. Suddenly, Tuan Zhang, who had been suppressed by the Ape Flying Sun, can't hold back any longer. Tuan Zhang, you shut up, is it time to say this? Ape Fei chopped his face was livid, glared viciously at his pig teammate, and then, looking at Yechin and the others, he didn't talk much nonsense, and waved his hand, kill. Quote. When Ape Fei said this word, kill, B was full of anger, but the next scene was embarrassing. 0. Hearing the order of the Ape Flying Sun, only more than 100 dark departments that had not yet defected rushed out. And those hundreds of root members were motionless. Ape Fei clasped his toes to the ground, and turned his head to look at Tuan Zhang with an ugly face. Ahem, Shimura Danzo coughed, and then waved at the root members who looked like wood. And the root members who received the order of Lord Tuanzang rushed out like a vicious wolf. Kill. Uchiha Fugaku didn't say much nonsense, waved his hand, and gave the order to attack. Kill. Mother, kill the Ape Flying Sun. Haha, it's painful, I can finally them. One by one, the Uchiha elite ninjas who glared at the Scarlet Chakra eyes roared to meet the members of the Dark and Root divisions. Forget it. Don't get involved. Quote. On the Night Morning's side, Kakashi and the other members of the Dark Division who had just come over also wanted to rush up. However, it was stopped by Yechin. And Kakashi and the other members of the Dark Division who had just defected over, seeing that Yechin stopped them and prevented them from participating in the war, they thought that Yechin did not trust them, and their faces suddenly became a little ugly. Seeing this, Yi Chen smiled lightly, and then said, just leave it to Uchiha's people here, what really needs you is over there. Saying that, Yechin pointed in the direction where explosions continued to sound in the distance. It was the periphery of Uchiha's station, and it was also the place where the ninjas of the Sarutobi and Shimura families fought against ninjas such as Hinata and Nara. Kakashi, you bring someone over, I heard, over there is Sarutobi Hinata's son, Sarutobi Shinosuke leads the team, I hope to see him when my side is over. Yechin looked at Kakashi and said indifferently. Yes. When Kakashi heard this, he nodded, and then, with a wave of his hand, he led those members of the Dark Division towards the periphery of Uchiha's station. After Kakashi and the others left, Yechin looked at Sarutobi Hinata and Shimura Danzo. Sarutobi Hinata, just grab it. Quote. Grab it, Ape Flying Sun. Yi Chen looked at the Ape Flying Sun Chop and Shimura Danzo, who were not a single person beside him, and said indifferently. HMPH. Yi Chen, don't be too proud, who wins and who loses is not certain. Quote. Before Sarutobi could speak, Shimura Danzo stepped forward before him. Lang snorted. Yechin looked at Shimura Danzo, who was covered by a white cloth with one eye and one arm, and was also wrapped in bandages, and frowned slightly. He sensed the pupil power of the Sharingan on Tuanzo. Can't help but say more. Tuanzang, this guy must have evolved into a complete body. He has transplanted the Sharingan into himself and turned it into a resurrection coin group. Fugaku, this old dog has the things of your Uchiha clan on him, and he will hand it over to you. Yechin turned his head to look at Uchiha Fugaku and said. When Uchiha Fugaku heard this, his brows locked, and a pair of scarlet three-hook jade riding wheel eyes looked at Tuanzang, and then he sensed that Tuanzang's body belonged to the pupil power emitted by the riding wheel eyes. Tuanzang, you. Uchiha Fugaku still doesn't know at this time, what did Danzo do? With a roar, he rushed towards Tuanzang. HMPH. Dirty races should be erased. Quote. Danzo looked at Uchiha Fugaku, who was rushing towards him, snorted coldly, and sealed his hands. Take a big mouth, raise your head slightly. Wind escape, vacuum jade. Rumble. An almost transparent ball condensed from the wind attribute erupted from Danzo's mouth and shot towards Uchiha Fugaku. Seeing this, Uchiha Fugaku turned slightly sideways, dodged the vacuum jade, and began to seal at the same time. Fire escape, how fireball technique. Rumble. A huge fireball flew towards Tuanzang. And Tuanzang faced the huge fireball flying with high temperature, took a deep breath, the airflow was like substance, and the naked eye could see that it was inhaled into his mouth. Phew. Seeing Uchiha Fugaku's how fireball approaching, Danzo spat at the fireball. Suddenly, a violent wind shot out of his mouth, directly blowing the fireball back. However, at this time, Uchiha Fugaku didn't know when, he had already come behind him, and he stabbed into the back of the group. Poof. Kuwu stabbed straight into Tuanzang's body and burst out a stream of blood. This is. Uchiha Fugaku, who brought a cool heart to Danzo, did not feel grateful, but instead a sense of foreboding appeared in his heart. Behind Uchiha Fugaku, Danzo suddenly appeared like a ghost, holding Kuwu in his hand, and stabbed into the back heart of Uchiha Fugaku. Uchiha Fugaku turned his head slightly, saw Tuanzang behind him, and was in distress and wanted to tell him about the heart nest. Seeing that Kuwu was about to stab himself, the three hook jades in Uchiha Fugaku's eyes rotated extremely quickly, and finally formed a six-pointed star pattern like petals. Rumble. A purple chakra instantly wrapped Uchiha Fugaku. Bite. Tuanzang's kunai poked on the purple chakra, making a sound of gold and iron colliding. Seeing this, Tuanzo shrank his pupil in one eye, jumped back, and distanced himself from Uchiha Fugaku. Kaleidoscope Sharingan, and Susanoo. Quote. Danzo looked solemnly at Uchiha Fugaku, who was wrapped in purple chakra. And Uchiha Fugaku's gaze at this time fell on Tuanzang's right hand. Originally, Tuanzang's right hand was wrapped in a white bandage, but now, the bandage on it has been untied, revealing the white scary arm and the red eyes on the arm. Danzo. You. Looking at the three-hook jade riding wheel eyes on Danzo's arm, Uchiha Fugaku was furious. I saw his left kaleidoscope riding wheel eyes, and suddenly shed blood and tears. Rumble. A black flame directly wrapped the whole person. Amaterasu. It is known as the fire of the sun, but it is also called an immortal flame. Moisture. The Amaterasu flames burned Tuanzo's body and made a sound of sizzling. However, Tuanzang still stood there calmly as if he was feeling constant pain. Suddenly, Tuanzang's figure strangely disappeared in place. And without the Amaterasu fire of the burning target, it disappeared in an instant. Izana. Looking at the strange disappearing Tuanzo, as the patriarch of the Uchiha clan, where does Uchiha Fugaku still not know what is going on? But it was precisely because he knew what was going on that he was angry. This guy actually uses the Sharingan as a stand-in technique. Ah! Uchiha Fugaku, who was extremely angry, roared, and then the purple chakra that wrapped him rose violently like flames. Subsequently, among these purple chakras, a half-body skeleton giant quickly condensed. However, this is not the end of the story. After the skeleton giant condensed, meridians covered the skeleton. A moment of effort, the original skeleton turned into a half-body giant. And this giant still holds a sword and shield in both hands. Danzo. Death. Uchiha Fugaku controlled Susanoo and swung a sword at Danzo, who appeared strangely not far away. Uchiha Fugaku, you hide so deeply. The lone ape Hibiki saw that Uchiha Fugaku had also opened the kaleidoscope chakra eye, and he could use Susanoo. He was shocked, and for the chakra eye on Tuanzo. In fact, he had already guessed. Retracting his gaze, he looked at Yechin and Ju Shinai again, his face extremely solemn. Hehe, ape flying son, don't say that I bully more and less, you two dogs are really disgusting, if you don't kill you with your own hands, most of the readers will rebel. So, you can go to the underworld to report. Yechin watched the ape flying in the sun, and his face was still light. Yes, suddenly, the originally solemn ape flew into the sun, and a smile appeared on his face. Seeing this, Yi Chen's expression froze. Yechin, do you think you won? Hehe, you are still too tender, do you think that as the shadow of Konoha, there will be no whole cards? Quote. Ape flying sun chopper seemed to have changed a person at this time, and the whole person seemed to be relaxed, looking full of confidence. Whole cards. Yechin frowned and watched the ape fly to the sun. Could it be that this old guy wants to die with him and use ghouls to seal it up? But now that he is at a distance from the ape flying sun, he is fully capable of dodging it. Without waiting for Yechin to figure out what medicine was sold in this gourd, the next scene really startled him. I saw the ape flying sun, and his hands quickly made a seal. Yin Junkin. Yechin looked at the ape flying sun's knotted seal, his pupils suddenly shrunk, and he exclaimed, this is Rebirth of Dirt. Quote, I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.